The man lay bleeding across the cold stone floor. For him, it was over. Everything he had fought for, every sacrifice he had made, it had all crumbled into nothing. His body was failing, yet in his eyes, hatred still burned like fire that refused to die. Above him stood a hero clad in shining armor, his gaze sharp and unfeeling. The red-haired man's body was shattered, pierced by jagged stone spikes erupting from the ground. Even as his life drained away, one thought consumed him: if he could, he would set the world ablaze. A faint, bitter smile curved his lips. Regret lingered in his eyes. Perhaps, things could have been different, if not for that one choice long ago. The hero, a golden-haired figure of cold resolve, looked down without pity. There was no mercy in his expression, only the grim satisfaction of a mission finally fulfilled. He exhaled softly, a quiet sigh of relief. The world's greatest threat was no more. Without another glance, the hero turned and walked away, leaving behind the broken body of the man once feared as the most wicked of all. A pitiful end to a legend of terror. The scene fades. In a small, cluttered room, a man with messy black hair slumps over his desk. Nam Woo-hyun, a novelist. On his screen, the villain's death marks the conclusion of his long and exhausting series. He stares at the glowing monitor. Just one more chapter, he thinks. One more, and it will all be finished. The end is finally in sight. But as the thought crosses his mind, a shadow lingers over him. Nothing is more miserable than writing a story you've grown to hate. Each word has been a battle, each page a burden. Still, he stretches back in his chair with a weary groan. After tomorrow, it will all be behind him. No more regrets. No more story. He lets his head fall back, eyes drifting shut, hoping to finally let it all go. Then, a sharp knocking rattles the door. His body tenses. The sudden sound shatters his fragile peace. He sits upright, turning slowly toward the entrance. Who would come at this hour? The knocking stops. Silence. He waits, listening. Nothing. His brow furrows. Maybe just some drunk mistaking the apartment. With a tired shake of his head, he mutters, "Time for bed." But as he turns away, something drifts past his face. A piece of paper, glowing with a soft, otherworldly light. It floats gently to the floor. He stares, frozen. Where had it come from? Slowly, he picks it up. On its surface, a simple message is written. A gift. And a request to ask when you are in need. He frowns. A gift? What kind of gift? Before he can think further, dark energy explodes from the paper, swirling like black smoke around him. His vision distorts, an image forcing its way into his mind. A man. Arsene Adel. The very villain he had just written to death, his chest torn open by a massive hole. The exact scene from his story, now alive before his eyes. He stumbles back, eyes wide in shock. What is this? His voice trembles, cracking with fear. The face before him is unmistakable. The villain, Arsene Adel. That same calm, accepting smile he wore in his final moments. And in the back of his mind, he can almost hear the words that marked the end of his story, "So, this is how I die." But the apartment is gone. Darkness swallows the room whole, and suddenly, Arsene himself stands there, gripping his shoulders. His voice reverberates, heavy with years of anguish. He speaks of his life. 10 long years honing his blade for vengeance. 10 years of watching everything slip away. Family, friends, even the one he loved. Sacrifice piled upon sacrifice. Pain that never ended. And after it all? Failure. A surge of crimson aura erupts from him, violent and suffocating. His words cut deep. You, the one who created me, you should understand failure better than anyone. Woo-hyun staggers at the weight of it. This isn't just an illusion. This is real. His own creation, alive and furious. Arsene's tone shifts, low and desperate. His hand glows with a sinister energy as it clamps over Woo-hyun's face. So please. The darkness consumes him. He screams as his very essence feels torn apart. The last thing he sees is Arsene's smile, eyes blazing with blood-red light. A final request slips from his lips, "Do it for me." Woo-hyun's consciousness shatters, glitching like broken glass. Arsene's voice lingers, promising he will see it all, before everything goes black. Like a fly ensnared in the web of his own creation, he is trapped. Slowly, awareness creeps back. He finds himself lying on a vast, luxurious bed, bathed in golden light. The room is grand and unfamiliar, its walls gleaming with wealth. His eyes flutter open. They are no longer dark, but a piercing, unnatural red. Dazed, He presses a hand to his throbbing head. Did he faint? No, something is wrong. He looks around frantically. This isn't his apartment. And when he glances down, his panic surges. He's wearing fine clothes, an elegant vest, crisp shirt, and polished boots. Nothing like his own. His legs nearly give out as he stumbles toward an ornate mirror. His breath hitches. The reflection staring back isn't his. Crimson hair. A thin, cruel mouth he had described countless times. Eyes, narrow, slitted, impossible to read. He knows instantly. It's him. Arsene Adel. His hand shoots to his neck, searching for the distinctive tattoo that should be there. Instead, smooth skin greets his touch. A horrified, almost hysterical laugh escapes him. He hasn't just met his character, he's become him. The most feared villain in his novel. And worse still, he knows exactly when he has awakened. Just days before the scheduled assassination. His own words echo inside his skull. The bloodline he wrote, half human, half demon. The cursed legacy of the Arsene family, once a great house of the empire, until betrayal tore them apart, destroyed by 6 rival clans. The once great Arsene family, betrayed, hunted, annihilated. Their legacy crushed beneath the boots of 6 rival families. And now, that shattered bloodline rests on the shoulders of a single man, Arsene Adel. That was the backstory Woo Hyun had written. The very reason Arsene fell into darkness. Revenge had consumed him, and in the end, he failed. And now, that failure had dragged his own creator here, demanding he finish what was left undone. Cold sweat beads down his neck. In just a few short days, he is destined to die at the hands of those 6 families. The weight of inevitability presses down until a desperate thought flickers in his mind. Status window. With a sharp chime, a translucent screen unfolds before him. Lines of text hover in the air, Adele stats. Woo Hyun scans them quickly. Just as he remembered, Adele had been one of the most talented characters he ever created. But compared to the monstrous abilities he had handed to the story's heroes, these numbers are pitiful. He rakes a hand through his new crimson hair, a bitter laugh slipping past his lips. He had made Arsene Adel look cool, yes, but never to win. He was meant to lose. Always. And the cruelest twist? He can't even control mana. That same cursed detail he'd written to make Adele intimidating was now nothing more than a rope around his own neck. His knees hit the floor, despair dragging him down. Was this it? Was he just going to die here, snuffed out like the very villain he had created? Then, something catches his eye. A faint glow, resting on the bed. The paper. The same one that had appeared in his room before all of this began. In his panic, he had forgotten it completely. He scrambles across the floor, clutching it tightly. No matter what it is, he isn't in a position to be picky. He recalls the message, ask when you are in need. His heart pounds as he stares at the blank surface, waiting for something to happen. Nothing. A strangled noise of frustration escapes him as he flips it over again and again. Empty. The brief flicker of hope fades into nothing. Was this really it? But then, letters begin to shimmer across the surface, glowing faintly. A message for the creator. The ornate script asks a simple question. Does the creator know how to use the gift? Answer yes or no. His grip tightens. Creator. His blood boils at the name. Otto. He glares at the page, but it ignores his rage, calmly shifting to repeat its command. Write yes or no. A heavy, defeated breath escapes him. Fine. He'll play along. He grabs a pen and scrawls his answer. Instantly, new text floods the page, explaining. Information purchase. It will answer any question he writes, though some truths will demand a price. Information purchase, he mutters under his breath. So it'll answer anything. But another line etches itself across the page. The more important the information, the higher the cost. He doesn't hesitate. He writes the only question that matters. Tell me how I can return to the real world. The response comes instantly, cruel and merciless. Impossible. His jaw clenches, teeth grinding. He had half expected it, but the finality still pierces him. If he can't go back, then he has no choice. He must live. He steadies his hand and writes his next question. Tell me how to use mana, and how to master Adele's unique traits. This time, the paper shimmers with a deep blue light. And for once, the answer brings hope. The paper's glow sharpens. No payment required. It explains that mana manipulation, and every one of Adele's unique traits, have already been etched into this body. A single question remains: will you accept them? His answer is instant. He scrawls yes. The response is immediate. A torrent of power floods through him, surging into every vein, every muscle. His lips curl into a confident smile. He can feel it. The mana, alive within him, pulsing like fire. Time to test it. First, darkness, the power to steal an opponent's 5 senses. He focuses, calling the energy forth. Shadows coil in his palm, swirling into a sphere of midnight. A success. Smaller than it should be, weaker than what he had written, but it's there. And it will grow. Next, killing intent. The aura that crushes all who stand before it. He channels his will, and a scarlet wave erupts from him, heavy and suffocating. His vision flares red as the oppressive energy floods the room. Success again. Knights might withstand it, but for ordinary people? It will be devastating. A sharp grin spreads across his face. Progress. But one skill stands above the rest. His most broken creation. The ability that had made Adele feared above all others, position transfer. The assassin's ultimate weapon. Switch places with anything, instantly. He activates it. A translucent system window flickers before his eyes, demanding he choose a target. Blue light flickers over his body, senses extending outward, mapping every corner of the chamber. His current limit, about 20 yards. A pitiful fraction of what Adele could once do. But enough for now. His eyes settle on a suit of ornate armor across the room. Perfect. He designates it. The window shifts. Move. His body dissolves into streaks of blue light. A flash, and suddenly, he's where the armor once stood. But the transfer is sloppy, unstable. Metal crashes as the armor topples, and he himself lands in a graceless heap on the floor. Not flawless. Not yet. But instead of despair, determination hardens in his chest. He'll do it again. Dozens of times. Hundreds, if that's what it takes. He will master this power. He will survive. Outside the estate, thunder rumbles. Hooves pound against the soaked earth as armored knights thunder forward, rain lashing their faces. Their captain bellows over the storm, urgency in every word. This time, no mistakes. This time, Arsene Adele must die. The estate stands silent beneath the storm, unaware of the storm of steel closing in. Inside, the echo of boots strikes the grand hall like war drums. The heavy march of armed soldiers. 2 trembling servants cower as a towering knight looms before them, his presence suffocating. His voice rips through the hall, cold and merciless. Where is he? Speak. Now. This is Captain Feltz of the Leon County Knights. His scarred face leaves no doubt, mercy does not exist in this man. One servant quivers, raising a shaky hand toward the great doors at the end of the hall. In that room. Feltz's eyes narrow to slits. His voice is low, dangerous. The servant stammers out an explanation. Arsene has been locked in his chambers for days, unmoving. Feltz scoffs. Pathetic. The last heir of a once great family, wasting away behind a door like a coward. This would be over quickly. The doors slam open. Knights storm inside, blades drawn. But the room isn't empty. Arsene Adele sits there, poised and calm, as if he had been waiting for this moment. A sly grin twists across his lips. His voice drips with mockery as he greets the captain. What? You really have no intention of letting even a young man live? Feltz's expression hardens, irritation flashing across his scarred face. He snarls at the absurdity of the question, then snaps his command. Eliminate him. Steel hisses from its sheath as the knights advance, intent clear. But Woo Hyun, wearing Adele's skin, is ready. His eyes lock onto one of the charging soldiers. Position transfer. Blue light ignites. In the heartbeat before the blade descends, his body dissolves. The knight falters, confused by the sudden surge of magic. Then, in an instant, Woo Hyun reappears directly behind him, dagger pressed to his throat, the knight now nothing more than a shield. The room freezes. Feltz and his men stare in shock. The speed was too fast, too precise. Using their hesitation, Woo Hyun kicks off the knight's back, flipping away and landing with perfect distance between himself and the wall of enemies. Felt's face twists with rage. What are you waiting for? Get him! The knights surge forward, a tide of swords and fury. But Woo Hyun doesn't linger. He pivots, racing toward the tall windows at the back of the chamber, weaving past flashing steel. With a final burst of speed, he crashes through the glass. Night air swallows him. Shards rain around as he plummets into the storm. Not blindly, he has a destination. Mid-fall, he triggers position transfer again, eyes locking on a stone gargoyle perched on the roof. Blue light flares. His body snaps upward, trading places mid-air, and he lands hard against the shingles. The transfer rattles his chest, stealing his breath. He clutches at the ache, teeth grit, but forces himself forward. He must reach the arson forest. Below, Felt's roar shakes the night. He's running. After him. The knights pour into the storm, their hunt relentless. Woo Hyun plunges into the dark, mist-drenched woods. Branches whip his arms as he forces his legs faster, lungs burning. He knows running won't save him forever. Even if he shakes them off, survival in these cursed woods is impossible alone. No, he has another plan. The hidden gate. The one that leads into the demonic realm. His mind races. In his own writing, he had described how the demons, weakened from war, desperately sought new allies. If he could prove Arson's potential, they might accept him. They might keep him alive. But there's a problem. The thunder of boots grows closer. Felt's voice bellows commands through the forest as the knights fan out, closing in. And the second problem, worse than the first, hits him like ice. He never wrote where the gate actually was. Branches whip past as he mutters, half panicked, half pleading. It should be here. It has to be here. Then, snap. His foot breaks a twig beneath him. The sound cracks like thunder in the silence. The twig snaps. The sharp crack echoes like a gunshot through the silent forest. And then, a surge of energy tears through the ground ahead, glowing and violent. Woo Hyun stumbles back, he's walked straight into a trap. From the shadows, Captain Feltz emerges. His blade gleams with a sickly green light, radiating menace. His scar twists into a sneer. You slippery bastard, he growls. So this is where you've been hiding. With a burst of speed, Feltz lunges. His sword whistles through the night air, cutting down with deadly force. Woo Hyun barely twists away, heart hammering, the blade missing him by a hair's breadth. His mind races. He has 1, maybe 2, position transfers left. That's all. If he doesn't find the gate now, it's over. His eyes scan the forest frantically. Nothing. Despair gnaws at him. Maybe there is no gate. Desperate, he yanks the glowing paper free, scribbling furiously, "Where is the gate?" The reply burns onto the surface like a cruel joke. Price, 100 gold coins, or a relic rank artifact. His stomach drops. A scream tears from his throat. Why would I have something like that now? But Feltz doesn't give him time to rage. The knight is on him again, blade flashing. Woo Hyun has no choice, he triggers another position transfer, blue light whisking him away at the very last second. He collapses, landing hard in the dirt. His strength is nearly gone. Feltz looms over him, sword leveled at his throat. His voice drips with contempt. Did you really think you could run? That you could live? The blade hovers inches from his chest. Felt's cruel smile deepens. Arsenidel, you die here, whether you like it or not. Blood runs from Woo Hyun's lips as he coughs, forcing himself upright. His eyes blaze with defiance. Don't make me laugh. Clutching the magical paper, he rises, unsteady but unbroken. A dangerous grin spreads across his face. I'm not going to die. Not here. Not now. Felt's eyes narrow, mistaking his defiance for empty bravado. Still resisting? I suppose you do have the pride of a family head after all. Woo Hyun laughs, sharp and mocking. Pride? Don't flatter yourself. You brought a whole squad just to hunt down one kid. Tell me, Captain, ever thought about changing careers? Maybe something easier, like being a nanny? Felt's face twists with fury, veins bulging in his forehead. You insolent brat. I was going to give you a painless end. But now, his blade ignites in fiery light, scorching the air. Now I'll drive this sword straight through your heart. A gift from Count Leon himself. Relic grade. Die. He roars as he swings, the weapon blazing down in a killing arc. But Woo Hyun is smiling. A bloody, triumphant grin. Now. He thrusts the magical paper forward, right into the blade's path. The sword collides and dissolves into radiant light. The paper flares brilliantly, words shimmering across its surface. Thank you for paying the price. The artifact is gone, consumed. The cost has been met. Felt stares, stunned, his prized blade vanishing into nothing. What? Behind him, the earth splits. A vortex of swirling red and black energy erupts upward, tearing the forest apart. The gate. Woo Hyun wastes no time. Pouring every last drop of strength into his body, he triggers his final position transfer. Blue light engulfs him. Then, in a blink, he's standing at the gate's edge. Felt's scream tears through the night. Stop! Don't you dare! Woo Hyun glances back, one last smirk tugging at his lips. Woo Hyun's chest heaves, a grim relief etched across his face. He can't believe that monstrous night had chased him all the way here. But it doesn't matter. The gate is open. Felt's roars, charging forward with blind desperation. I won't let you go. His fist cuts through the air, but it's too late. The portal's swirling energy has already engulfed Woo Hyun, tugging him into the abyss. With a triumphant smirk, Woo Hyun throws a final barb over his shoulder. I'll see you next time, Sir Feltz. And then, he's gone. Swallowed whole by the vortex. Felt skids to a halt, his hand reaching helplessly into the empty space. His face contorts into pure, unrestrained fury. Damn it! His gaze lifts to the blood-red sky, and realization dawns like a curse. His prey hadn't just escaped, he had crossed over. He went into the demonic realm. The scene shifts. A vast desert stretches beneath a crimson eclipse, the air dry and suffocating. A lone scorpion crawls across the cracked earth, its shadow long beneath the dying light. Here, Arsenadel has arrived. Woo Hyun escaped one cage only to step into another. The forest is gone. The storm, the nights, all gone. In their place, desolation, ruin, and a dungeon carved into ancient stone. He stirs awake on a rough slab, chewing on dried meat he found nearby. His mind races, piecing together fragments. He remembers the gate, and then waking here. This isn't a natural cave. He knows this place. A man-made dungeon. A secret forge of demonic arts he himself once wrote into the story. The jerky. The stone bed. Provisions left behind. As if someone had prepared this place for the unlucky souls who stumbled in. But ahead, trouble looms. A shimmering barrier hums faintly in the air, warding off intruders. And behind it, standing motionless, waits a massive guardian. A wolf of stone, its jagged body radiating lethal strength. Woo Hyun watches silently. He doesn't need to test it, he knows. If he rushes in now, he'll be obliterated in an instant. Then, the paper stirs. The one gift Adele had left him. Its glow fills the dim chamber as new words scrawl themselves across its surface. Sacrificing Felt's sword was a one-time deal. A penalty is declared. You cannot offer what you do not own. Break this rule again, and the exchange will fail entirely. Woo Hyun lets out a dry, bitter laugh. Of course. Only Adele would grant such a reckless loophole, then slap him with a warning after the fact. But before he can dwell further, something draws his eye. One section of the wall. Different. Subtle, but distinct. He presses his palm against the rough stone. A faint energy hums into his hand. His instincts flare, Arsenadel's instincts. He can sense it. Hidden power. But as he tries to draw it forth, something resists. A force immense and unyielding pushes back, crushing his will with sheer dominance. A voice echoes in his skull, cold and absolute. You don't have the right. Woo Hyun jerks his hand back, breath uneven. Authorization denied. His eyes narrow as he pieces it together. That hidden stone wasn't a treasure, it was the key to shutting down the barrier. But only those of the proper bloodline could wield it. What a waste. His gaze drifts back to the shimmering wall. Impassable. Unless. On the ground nearby lies a loose shard of stone, likely chipped from the guardian itself. His eyes sharpen. If the barrier rejects him, maybe the trick isn't to fight it. Maybe it's to cheat it. He focuses, calling on position transfer. The stone fragment becomes his target. His energy flares, the blue light wrapping him like a cocoon. A flash. And suddenly, he's through. He stands on the other side, grin breaking across his face. It worked. He passed the first obstacle. But there's no time to celebrate. A thunderous crack shakes the chamber as the stone wolf guardian lunges forward, jaws gaping wide to crush him whole. Far away, beneath the eclipsed sun, the world of demons stirs. A vast Gothic castle rises against the blood-red sky. Inside, a servant fumbles, spilling a bucket of water. Another snaps at him, but both freeze as a figure appears above them on a balcony. Crete, patriarch of the Aiba family. Demon lord, towering in presence. He pays the servants no mind. His thoughts are elsewhere. Things are restless today. Too restless. Of course, they are preparing for his daughter's raid on the hidden domain. His hand drifts to his chin, stroking thoughtfully. It is a dangerous test, but if she succeeds, she will earn entry into Seitan, the most elite school in all the demonic realm. A place where only monsters in both blood and soul can thrive. He knows his daughter well. No order could make her turn back. She burns with obsession. Revenge. Only by growing stronger does she believe she can avenge her mother, cut down by humans. Crete exhales, heavy. He worries. She's still weak. Too frail to survive a crucible like Seitan. Then, footsteps. A maid rushes in, face pale. Patriarch, there is trouble. Golden light flickers in Crete's eyes. His voice is calm, yet dangerous. Trouble? Explain. The maid bows low, stammering. An intruder. Someone inside the hidden domain. No signs of the entrance being opened. No explanation of how they entered. Crete leans forward, interest sparking. The hidden domain, you say? She nods quickly. They don't know who. Only that the intruder touched the deactivation function from the inside. Crete's fingers tap the desk, considering. Perhaps, dragged in by one of the old gates. Relics from the human demon war. He waves the maid away. It doesn't matter. He'll die soon enough. Focus on my daughter's preparations. But as the door closes, a sly smile curls across his lips. Or, if he survives, perhaps I gain a pawn. Back in the dungeon. Woo Hyun screams, his body hurled through the air like a ragdoll. He slams into the stone floor, the impact ripping the air from his lungs. His chest burns. A wolf? That thing nearly killed him in a single strike. Gasping, he drags himself upright, eyes flicking to the barrier. Even if it falls. If he goes back, the barrier will trap him. If he goes forward, the wolf will kill him. Woo Hyun stands frozen, caught between death and despair. His eyes flicker from the Guardian's massive stone frame to his own trembling hands. Then, an insane idea sparks. Wait, isn't that thing made of stone too? A dangerous grin creeps across his face. All right. Let's try it. He summons his energy. Position transfer. But this time, his target is the Guardian itself. Blue light erupts, wrapping both him and the wolf. The beast's glowing yellow eyes widen, flickering with confusion as its massive body begins to crackle with foreign energy. Then, gone. The wolf vanishes with a thunderous roar, forcibly ripped away from its post. Woo Hyun reappears, grinning wide. It worked. He darts past where the beast once stood, expecting the barrier itself to finish it off. But as he rounds the corner, he skids to a stop. Another Guardian blocks his path. This one is worse. A winged monstrosity with burning red eyes, its body pulsing with raw power. His throat tightens. This dungeon, it isn't a single fight. It's a gauntlet. Trial after trial. But now he has a plan. He pivots, activating position transfer again. His target, the wolf's lifeless husk, trapped behind the last barrier. In a flash, his body switches places. It works. The winged Guardian falters, forced to deal with the displaced wolf. A loophole. He's found a way to cheat the dungeon. He sprints forward, and there it is, a shimmering portal at the end of the corridor. But just as relief swells, a voice echoes around him. I welcome you, for reaching the end. He freezes. Welcome, an intruder. His eyes dart to the portal. Beyond its glow, an arena. A colossal figure waits inside. A death knight. Encased in black, horned armor, clutching a blade that hums with killing intent. Its presence is suffocating, its power clear. Equal to Felt's, maybe stronger. A fight he cannot win. The knight's voice rumbles like thunder, ancient and commanding. I express my respect for you, for making it this far. But Woo Hyun doesn't hear the rest. His gaze has already locked onto the platform behind it. Target set. Blue light bursts, and he reappears behind the boss, directly in front of a massive treasure chest. It towers over him, larger than any chest is ever described in his story. Its lid gleams with an intricate ornament, engraved with the mark of a black dragon. He freezes. Recognition slams into him like lightning. The black dragon. The symbol of pride. One of the 7 deadly sins. The 7 highest-ranked demon families. A chill runs down his spine. His body trembles. If the true owner of this dungeon catches him here, he's already dead. But it's too late to hesitate. His only chance is to take what he can and run. He throws the lid open, desperate for anything useful. But the moment his fingers brush the edge, a surge of violent, dark purple energy erupts from the chest. A clawed shadow bursts forth, clamping down over his mouth. His breath is stolen. His throat closes as the curse pours into him, invading his body. He stumbles back, choking, gagging, his entire body convulsing. The pain is unbearable, searing, ripping not at his flesh but at something deeper. His soul. A scream tears from his throat, raw and primal, echoing through the dungeon. Something far, far worse than pain. Wuxian's vision fractures, blood splattering against the dungeon wall before the world collapses into darkness. Then, air. A ragged, wheezing breath drags him back from the void. He lies sprawled in a pool of his own blood, chest heaving, body racked with agony. Every nerve screams, yet instinct forces him to move. Gasping, trembling, he pushes himself upright. How long was he unconscious? His hand shoots to his face, sticky, wet. Panic claws at him. His eye. Did his left eye burst? He pulls his hand away, and freezes. Black streaks stain his cheek. Tears of shadow. And his eye, it isn't red anymore. It glows with an eerie, burning violet. The realization slams into him. The liquid from the chest. That wasn't poison, it was power. He jerks open his status window. And there it is. A new trait. Eye of Superbia. Its description burns across the screen, an extreme increase in dynamic vision, activating with each enemy slain. Not a curse. A reward. A grin spreads across his face, wild and sharp. Almost manic. With this power, he'll never again be cornered by swarms of weaklings. He was right to come here. The demonic realm is where he belongs. He forces himself to his feet, blood still dripping from his chin, but his resolve sharper than ever. It's time to get out. His eyes drift upward, and he freezes. Behind the chest, towering, are ornate doors he hadn't noticed before. He hesitates. No doubt he's made enough noise to wake the whole dungeon. Troops will be waiting outside. Walking through those doors blindly is suicide. For a moment, the thought tempts him, kneel, beg, survive. But he shakes his head. No. If they recognize the tattoo of the arson family, they'll kill him no matter how much he grovels. He channels his energy, shadows swirling to obscure the mark on his neck. His identity must stay hidden. Then, boom. The door rattles under a massive blow. The voice of the Death Knight roars through, commanding. Open the door, now. Wuxian's head snaps around. His pulse spikes. Another pounding crash, the voice booming again, urgent. Her Highness is coming. Quickly, open it. Her Highness? The pieces click. The welcome message. The jerky. The bed. This wasn't a random dungeon. This was a domain built by a powerful demon family, a trial ground meant to test their heirs. And he just stole their reward. If they discover the truth, he won't just die. He'll be butchered. His hands shake as he pulls out the magical paper, scrawling furiously. Tell me who the closest character to me is. The reply etches itself across the page. Price, 100 gold coins, or a relic rank artifact. His stomach lurches. He has nothing. Panic claws at him. But then, a thought. He slams his hand against the empty chest. Not an item. Himself. Payment, 100 mana. The paper shimmers. The words shift. Payment accepted. His body seizes as energy drains from him in a violent pull. His strength falters, knees buckling. His breath comes ragged, his vision dimming as the paper hungrily devours his essence. The paper's glow fades, revealing the truth. The closest person to you is Renee. Youngest daughter of Crete Bears, patriarch of the Bears family. Wuxian's blood runs cold. Before he can even process it, the massive doors creak open, groaning under their weight. A figure steps inside, cloaked in an aura of overwhelming power. Renee. Sweat beads on his forehead. His heart sinks. His life is over. It all makes sense now. This entire domain, it was built for her training. The Eye of Superbia, the reward meant for her. And he had stolen it. His eyes widen as Renee strides forward, her blade slicing through the Death Knight with a single devastating strike. The towering guardian crumbles in an instant, reduced to nothing. There's no escape. No hope. His jaw tightens. A desperate resolve hardens in his chest. If death is certain, then bluffing is his only path forward. He smooths his blood-stained clothes, forces confidence onto his face, and steps out from behind the chest as though he belongs. Renee's glowing blue eyes lock onto him, narrowing with suspicion. Who are you? He drops to one knee, bowing low. His voice is smooth, steady. Congratulations on clearing the domain, Miss Renee. You have finally become worthy. She blinks, caught off guard. Her hand rests on her blade, dark purple energy radiating as her voice sharpens. Explain. Keeping his head lowered, Woo Hyun lies without hesitation. The patriarch ordered me to act as your guard. For a tense moment, their eyes meet, but she doesn't seem to notice the unnatural glow of his new eye. She steps closer, studying him. You? Yes, he replies with an easy smile. Despite appearances, I'm quite skilled. This is it. His only chance. He has to use her to get out alive. But Renee scoffs, unimpressed. Without warning, she flicks a dagger straight at his face. The blade whistles through the air. And Woo Hyun catches it. Effortlessly. Not even a flinch. The eye of Superbia sharpens everything, his perception honed beyond human limits. Renee's eyes widen in surprise. For the first time, doubt flickers. He's faster than he looks. He rises, stepping forward, and gently grips her wrist. How is it? He says smoothly. I believe I will be quite useful in protecting you, Miss Renee. She jerks her hand away with a faint scowl, annoyance flashing across her face. But she doesn't strike him down. Instead, she huffs and folds her arms, conceding, for now. His bluff worked. Turning toward the exit, Renee gives a sharp order. Come. I need to report to the patriarch at once. Woo Hyun swallows. He needs to get away before this goes too far. I must first attend to some other tasks from the patriarch, he says lightly, angling toward the shadows. I promise, I won't be late. He starts to move. But steel flashes. Renee's sword halts at his throat. His blood runs cold. Slowly, he lifts his eyes. And there, looming behind her, is not just Renee. Crete. The patriarch himself. Surrounded by an entourage of armed guards, his gaze burns with quiet amusement. Woo Hyun's heart slams in his chest. His mind screams. Why is he here? Why now? This is the worst possible outcome. If Crete realizes the eye of Superbia has been stolen, it's over. Instant death. Woo Hyun braces for it. The killing blow. But instead, Crete's golden eyes slide past him, ignoring him entirely. His voice rumbles, calm but heavy with authority. Renee. Did you clear the domain successfully? Renee falters for just a moment before answering her father. Yes. I see. Crete's tone is unreadable, his expression a mask carved from stone. Follow me. Woo Hyun trails behind them, every step heavy with dread. His mind spins. What is he planning? Escorted by guards, their spears at the ready, he feels like a condemned man walking to his own execution. Escape is impossible. The paper is useless without payment. He has no lifeline left. They arrive at a vast, opulent structure, the Bear's Mansion. Towers and spires claw at the blood-red sky, its Gothic form looming over him like a predator. Inside, Crete dismisses his daughter and the guards with a single command. Return to your quarters. Then he turns, his golden eyes flickering toward Woo Hyun. You wait here. I'll call for you later. Woo Hyun's pulse spikes. Left alone? Is this his chance? His instincts scream at him to run, but he can feel it, shadows lurking just beyond the edges of sight. Hidden guards. Watching. Waiting. A grim smile tugs at his lips. Of course. This isn't freedom. It's a test. In another chamber, Crete sits at his desk, an hourglass trickling sand as he waits. Renee stands before him, spine straight, awaiting judgment. You've completed your last task, Crete says, voice flat. His gaze sharpens. Must you enter the training facility? Yes. Her response is firm, unwavering. Crete leans back, silent for a long stretch. Then, with deliberate calm, he shifts the subject. That aside, how is he? Renee recalls Woo Hyun catching her dagger, effortless, unflinching. She speaks only one word. Strong. Coming from her, it is the highest praise she can give. A slow smile spreads across Crete's face. I see. How very intriguing. He rises, authority radiating from him like heat. Since you have proven yourself worthy, you may now enter Seitan, just as you wished. Renee's face lights up, joy breaking through her usual steel composure. She bows deeply. Thank you. As she departs, Crete leans back, thoughts turning to the intruder. He had expected the boy to die instantly. Instead, he survived. Claimed the Eye of Superbia. And earned his daughter's acknowledgement. Interesting. Very interesting. This one could be useful. Meanwhile, Woo Hyun waits in silence. Sweat beads on his skin, each moment stretching into eternity. He doesn't know that the decision sealing his fate has already been made. The bear's mansion looms like a cathedral of shadows. Spires pierce the dusky sky, candlelit halls echoing with his every step as a servant leads him onward. Finally, the servant bows at an ornate set of towering doors. I've brought him, patriarch. The doors groan open. A throne room. Vast, cold, suffocating. And on the throne, Crete. He lounges with an air of boredom, golden eyes narrowing as they lock onto the boy before him. His presence alone suffocates. His silence is worse. Woo Hyun, Adele, stands stiff, a single bead of sweat sliding down his temple. He can't read him. And that terrifies him most. He forces himself to speak. Why did you let me live? At once, Crete's lips curl into a terrifying grin. Purple demonic energy explodes outward, crushing the air itself. The weight slams into Woo Hyun, suffocating, inescapable. You bastard, Crete snarls, his voice echoing like a curse. You fooled my daughter well. The pressure is unbearable, pressing in from every side. Woo Hyun grits his teeth, straining to stay upright. But it's too much. His body crashes to the ground, pinned beneath Crete's monstrous aura. Woo Hyun screams under the crushing weight, his body pinned as if the air itself were stone. But through the suffocating pain, a desperate clarity strikes. He forces the words out, ragged and broken. You don't plan on killing me. The pressure vanishes. Just like that. Crete leans back, amusement flickering in his golden eyes. Woo Hyun collapses, gasping, heart hammering in his chest. That power, he's never felt anything so overwhelming. You're quick-witted, Crete says, his voice shifting, the sharp edge softening into something almost conversational. What is your name? Woo Hyun forces himself to his knees, bowing his head low. Ad. Crete repeats the name, tasting it. His hand lifts, and a tendril of shadow slithers forth, wrapping around Woo Hyun like a living chain. In the blink of an eye, Crete is in front of him, gripped tight on his collar, pulling their faces inches apart. The suffocating aura returns, sharper, more focused than before. Woo Hyun chokes out, voice trembling. What do you want from me? Crete's smile is cold. His command is chilling. Open your mouth. From his palm, a writhing creature of pure shadow slithers free. The thing squirms, hissing, before forcing its way down Woo Hyun's throat. He gags, convulsing, bile rising as the parasite burrows inside him. You only need to continue what you told my daughter, Crete murmurs, his voice low, predatory. His grin widens. But if you stray from that path, if you think of betraying me. His voice drops to a growl. That poison will rip your heart apart. Woo Hyun screams, writhing on the floor as the shadow worm digs deeper. The sensation is vile, like his very insides are being gnawed away. Then, Crete releases him. He crashes to the ground, clutching his throat, body convulsing. I'll prepare a place for you, Crete says casually, already turning his back. Wait until I call for you. And with a flick of his hand, the audience is over. Take your leave. Woo Hyun stumbles from the throne room, every breath a ragged gasp. His throat burns. He isn't free, he's been collared. Leashed like an animal. A servant escorts him to a separate building. The chamber is small, but well furnished, almost comfortable. This will be your residence, the servant informs him. From now on, you are officially a dependent of the bear's household. You are under the patriarch's will entirely. The door closes, leaving him alone with his thoughts. He sinks onto the bed, a bitter smile twisting across his face. Alive? Barely. For now. Crete had acknowledged him, at least in part. Perhaps this wasn't all bad. Perhaps he could use it. But then, he feels it. The thing. The shadow worm writhing inside his chest. His smile fades. His eyes sharpen. I need to get rid of this thing. He closes his eyes, channeling mana inward, focusing on the foreign parasite lodged within. Blue light spreads through his chest. Slowly, painfully, the creature is forced out, expelled into his hand. It squirms, dripping with shadows. Inanimate, like he guessed. That's why it worked. He shudders. If it hadn't, he would already be dead. But a new problem emerges. Crete will know if it dies. He'll sense it instantly. His mind races, what now? Then, two glowing red eyes snap open on the worm's small body. It wriggles violently, starving, cut off from his mana. Without thinking, Woohyun coats his finger in dark energy and presses it forward. Eat this. The creature latches on greedily, licking the energy from his finger before curling up again, slipping into a dormant state. He collapses back onto the bed, sweat soaking his body, relief flooding him. The immediate threat has been neutralized, barely. Now, exhaustion takes over. His body feels hollow, drained. And yet, his mind keeps circling back. This was no victory. Just survival. The exhaustion crashes into him all at once, his vision blurring as if the world itself is pulling him under. Just before he loses consciousness, he forces open his status window for a quick glance. His mana reserves are nearly drained, yet there's a silver lining, his position transfer skill has leveled up. Stronger now, yes, but still not enough. His mana pool is far too small. Compared to the heroes he once wrote about, what he has is barely a drop in the ocean. He needs more. A lot more. The question is, how? As sleep threatens to take him, a memory sparks across his mind. Right, that method. The scene shifts. Adele now stands beside Renee, who looks at him with unmistakable disdain. I don't like it, she says coldly. Pardon? Adele replies with an easy smile. It's been 3 days since he was assigned as her guard. 3 days filled only with her icy rejection. He remembers writing her differently, a girl with a warm and lively spirit. But everything changed after her mother was killed by humans. The guilt weighs on him, knowing he was the one who crafted this tragedy. A servant rushes over, breathless. The patriarch wants to see you both. Adele's eyes flicker toward Renee. This must be it. He knows why Crete, her father, is calling them. In his original story, Crete forbade Renee from entering Sion even after she proved her worth in the raid. Now, face to face with his daughter, Crete's voice is heavy. Saitan isn't an easy place. With your current strength, you die long before you avenge your mother. Adele stands quietly to the side, a stranger caught in the middle of a tense family dispute. But then Crete shifts the direction entirely. If you take Adele as your guard, I'll permit your entrance. Renee's head snaps up in disbelief. No! The rejection is immediate, sharp, absolute. Adele exhales silently. Does she despise him that much? But he knows what Saitan truly is, the demonic realm's elite academy, crawling with the most dangerous young demons in existence. In his novel, it was a battlefield locked in endless conflict with the human empire's academy. Bloodshed was inevitable, and many students, Renee included, met their end there. A death trap disguised as a school. Renee's gaze drops to the floor, tears glistening. She can't understand why her father would send her into that place, and worse, with someone she doesn't trust. But to Adele, this is an opportunity. Perhaps the best one he'll ever get. He knows the key incidents that will unfold between the two schools. He knows how the tides of conflict will move. If he plays it right, this could be where he builds his strength. He steps forward. Let's do it, he says firmly. Then, pausing, he adds, but I have a request. Crete raises an eyebrow, curiosity flickering. Adele swallows hard. If he's going to be dragged along anyway, he might as well bargain for what he needs most, mana. Crete chuckles, amused. Oh? I expected you to beg me to remove that, he says, motioning toward where the worm poison should have been. Adele keeps his expression steady, but inwardly, he's celebrating. Crete doesn't know the poison is already gone. Arrogant brat, Crete mutters with a smirk. Very well. It's a simple request, I'll hear it. He turns to his daughter. Renee, you may leave. She bows stiffly and walks out, clearly displeased. But as she steps away, she steals one last glance at Adele. Does she despise the idea of going with him that much? Adele waits, quietly wondering what Crete intends to grant him. A mana elixir, maybe. Or perhaps an artifact, though something of that level would likely be too precious to hand over lightly. Crete's deep voice breaks the silence. It's a family treasure. That's why I sent my daughter away. Adele's pulse quickens. I know your mana is pitifully low, Crete continues. A glowing sphere of sinister purple energy flickers into existence above his palm. Since you'll be throwing your life away in my daughter's stead, I'll grant you this much. Come forward. The command reverberates through the chamber, heavy with authority. Adele steps closer, eyes widening as Crete declares, I will transfer the bear's family's mana cultivation technique to you. Shock strikes him like lightning. The cultivation technique itself, it's far beyond anything he expected. But the gift comes with a price. To harness demonic power, one must first pray to their god. Crete begins his incantation, his voice echoing like a dark hymn, the purple glow intensifying until the throne room itself feels drenched in malice. The energy crashes into Adele's body, raw and violent. His own mana rages, colliding against the foreign current. He collapses to one knee, gasping, every nerve screaming under the weight of the transfer. Crete watches from above, faintly amused. A normal man would have lost his mind the moment he heard the chant. But you're interesting. Through ragged breaths, Adele steadies himself as Crete explains further. This technique will allow him to draw mana directly from the demon god himself. Power unlike anything he's ever known. But one phrase chills him to the bone. The demon god? As Adele reels, Crete adds something even more unnerving. Adele's family seems tied to the 7 deadly sins. Adele stares up, completely thrown. What do you mean? The patriarch only smiles darkly. It doesn't matter whether you're a spy or not. Not with the worm poison already inside you. Adele's mind races. The arson family, connected to the 7 deadly sins? That wasn't in his novel. A crucial piece of lore about his very own character, something even he, the author, had never written. With his business concluded, Crete dismisses him. Adele bows deeply before leaving the throne room, the massive doors groaning shut behind him with a final, echoing thud. Later, far from the mansion, Adele finds a secluded clearing. He settles on a moss-covered rock, deciding this is the safest place to train. If he loses control here, at least no one else will suffer the fallout. Closing his eyes, he begins to channel the foreign energy. Immediately, shadows writhe and curl around him, pulsing with a dark aura. He recites the chant, invoking the demon god. He knows this is irreversible. Once he embraces this demonic force, the human path will be forever closed to him. But survival leaves him no choice. The ritual deepens. His mind is wrenched into a pitch-black void. From the emptiness, a colossal form takes shape, an abomination of shadow and fury. Red eyes blaze through the darkness, piercing into him. The void trembles with its voice. Mongrel! Adele freezes, his breath caught in his throat. The oppressive presence shakes him to his core. Could it be? The entity leans closer, its voice ancient and merciless. Though Adele does not bear its blood, the shadow looms over him, its voice cutting like a blade. You carry the blood of a traitor. Adele's throat tightens. His voice shakes, but he forces the words out anyway. Are you, the demon god? The answer rumbles through the void. Yes. I am the one they call the god of pride. Adele's first instinct is raw terror. His mind races, one thought louder than all the rest. If this being wanted him dead, he wouldn't stand a chance. He stammers, are you going to kill me? The god's voice booms again, cold but steady. If I wished for your death, you would have perished the moment I spoke. Adele's chest heaves as confusion takes over. Why spare him? Why now? The god of pride explains. Though Adele does not carry its blood, it can feel the weight of the same sin burning within him. Pride. Because of this, it feels a strange sense of kinship. Therefore, the god declares, I shall bestow upon you a mark, one who walks the same path as I. A surge of unholy energy bursts forward, striking Adele's chest. He lets out a sharp cry as the power burns into him, searing a mark across his skin. His body quakes under the flood of demonic strength. The god's voice echoes with finality. Arrogant traitor, do not lose yourself to pride. And then it's gone. The darkness fades. Adele opens his eyes, breath ragged, his heart pounding. Shock and relief mix inside him. He just borrowed the power of a demon god. His hand drifts to his collarbone where the mark now rests, a dark tattoo etched into his skin. He can't help but chuckle bitterly. At this rate, his entire body might end up covered in these marks. Still, with this, it feels like he's just earned himself 3 extra lives. The forest is silent, until a sudden rustle breaks it. Adele's head snaps around. Who's there? From behind a tree, Renee steps into view. Her eyes are wide, her expression caught somewhere between awe and disbelief. Adele's mind reels. Why is she here? More importantly, how much did she just see? Her voice is a whisper. Dark priest. Adele freezes. He forces a smile, closing his eyes briefly to hide his panic. He has no idea how to explain this. High above, a bird perches on a branch, watching the Bear family estate from afar. Time slips by, 1 month. Adele has thrown himself into relentless training. When he pulls up his status window, his jaw nearly drops. His race now reads, half-demon. His mana? Over 1,000. He shakes his head in disbelief. He expected growth, but not this. His mana has more than tripled. He figures his interest and focus traits must be accelerating his progress. A confident smile spreads across his face. At this rate, he might even surpass the heirs of the 6 great human houses in just a few years. With the strength he holds now, he's certain, he could even conquer that hidden domain. But before he can think further, his attention catches on a familiar figure. Renee. She's practicing her sword swings right in front of his house. Adele sighs. Of all the places, why here? Shouldn't she be training at the official grounds? He walks over, calling out lightly, "Excuse me, miss." She halts mid-swing, glancing back at him with a faintly flustered look. Yes. The silence that follows is heavy, awkward. Adele smiles faintly to himself. At least she isn't avoiding him anymore. Still, she probably has the wrong idea about him. In this world, only dark priests can communicate directly with the demon god. And she. Renee looks at him differently now, a hint of respect softening her gaze, even the faintest blush rising on her cheeks. Adele silently thanks the gods she hadn't overheard his real conversation with the god of pride. Still, if the patriarch's daughter suddenly starts treating him like some revered figure, the rumors that would spread would be more trouble than they are worth. "Miss," he calls firmly. She jumps slightly at his tone, answering quickly, "Wyas." Adele places a hand over his chest, his expression sincere. "I know what you're thinking. But I need you to treat me the same as always." Renee hesitates, clearly conflicted. To her, he looks like a holy messenger now. How is she supposed to treat someone like that casually? Adele presses on. "I'm only here because of your father's orders. My job is simply to protect you. So please, treat me comfortably." For a moment, she studies him in silence. Then, her expression shifts. Mischief flashes in her eyes. "Bring me some water," she says bluntly. Adele freezes. "What?" Her tone is commanding now, her posture casual, almost smug as she stretches her leg lazily. "You said to treat you comfortably. Well, I'm thirsty from training. So hurry up." Adele lets out a weak laugh, realizing how fast her attitude flipped. Of course, she's from the family of pride. 1 second reverence, the next instant arrogance. Typical. Defeated, he sighs. "Fine." Later, Adele returns with a basket carrying a pitcher and cup. Renee is waiting on a tree stump as if it's her throne, patient and expectant. He hands it over, but his mind isn't here. He's growing restless. Every second wasted is 1 step closer to disaster. He needs to conquer the hidden domain before the protagonist of his novel arrives in the demonic realm. The treasure there is his lifeline. Without it, he won't survive what's coming at Saitan Academy. He decides to try a different angle. "Miss," he says, his tone carefully casual, "how are your preparations for Saitan coming along?" Her eyes narrow suspiciously. "Why are you asking that all of a sudden?" Adele feigns concern. "That place is crawling with vicious humans. I'm just worried about you." Renee studies him, then shrugs lightly. "I've already packed everything I need." Adele pushes further. Gesturing toward the basket, he suggests, "Why don't you go back and double-check? Just to be safe. It would be a shame if you forgot something important." He's laying it on thick, hoping she'll take the bait. But Renee isn't fooled. Her eyes sharpen, and she asks flatly, "What are you trying to say?" Adele keeps his smile, insisting, "Nothing. I'm just worried for you. I am your escort, after all." She stares at him a long moment, then answers with a single, deadpan word. "Liar." His pleasant mask cracks. She steps closer, her hands on her hips, her expression darkening. "Where are you trying to sneak off to behind my back?" Her gaze sharpens, her voice low, dangerous. "Are you sick of me already?" Adele swallows, mind racing. He's cornered. There's no way out but the truth, or at least, a version of it. Finally, he exhales and admits, "I heard there's a domain nearby." "And I?" Adele clears his throat, steadying his tone. "I was planning on conquering the domain, for your safety." Renee studies him in silence, her expression unreadable. Adele leans forward slightly, his voice urgent. Please, understand. And then, her face lights up, as if something just clicked in her mind. Ah! I remember what I forgot. Adele feels a rush of relief. Finally. His plan worked. Good, he says quickly. Then go back and get it. Warming up. Adele blinks. What? She smiles innocently, sword flashing free with a sharp metallic ring. I haven't warmed up yet. Her eyes burn with determination as she adds, I'm going with you to the domain. Adele's jaw practically drops. Wait, what? She cuts him off, cheerful and decisive. If it's nearby, we can clear it today. So? Lead the way. Adele can only sigh, utterly defeated. A short while later, Renee turns to him. So, where exactly is this domain? The scene shifts. The two of them now stand before a dark, twisted forest. At its center looms a decrepit Gothic mansion, its broken spires clawing at the sky. Skulls and rotting crosses litter the ground, while a sickly green mist coils through the air, carrying the stench of decay. Adele speaks, voice low. This is the domain of the undying. A place where the dead refuse to rest. He explains further. This land was once ruled by necromancers. Now, it's overrun by their cursed legions, wraith-like soldiers, remnants of a war long past. Renee's eyes narrow. Even she knows this place. Infamous enough that even I wouldn't tread lightly, she says grimly. It must be at least a mid to upper level threat. Adele nods inwardly. She's right. After all these years, the undead horde has likely multiplied beyond measure. He glances at her. On one hand, having her strength at his side isn't a bad thing. On the other, traveling together makes discretion impossible. If anyone spots them, word will reach her father immediately, and that's the last thing Adele wants. He tries to ease her off, forcing a calm smile. You don't have to come. If it's too much trouble, I'll handle it alone. He even tries to warn her. If the patriarch finds out you slipped away. But Renee cuts him short, her voice steady. It's okay. She turns, her eyes glinting with a mix of confidence and secrecy. I know a way out. Leading him to a remote corner of the estate's massive wall, she pulls back a curtain of thick vines to reveal a narrow, hidden passage carved into the stone. Here, she says simply. Adele stares, genuinely impressed. You seem awfully familiar with this place. Renee turns away, arms crossed, refusing to answer. Adele smirks knowingly. So the proper young lady sneaks out often, here? She doesn't reply, her silence loud enough. Adele glances around, cautious. Let's move before someone spots us. He picks up the basket he'd carried earlier, and together they slip through the hidden exit. Their footsteps echo softly as they leave the bare family estate behind, swallowed by the desolate wilderness beyond. The path stretches across a barren wasteland, jagged rocks jutting from the earth like broken teeth. Mist clings to the mountains looming in the distance, turning the world into a haunting canvas of grey and green. After a long trek, Adele wipes sweat from his brow, panting slightly. How much farther? Renee stops, frowning at him in confusion. Adele chuckles sheepishly. Whoops. I've never actually left the estate before. I'm not familiar with the area. He lifts a hand and points toward a massive peak rising in the distance. But if I'm not mistaken, we're almost there. All we have to do is get over that, Adele says casually, pointing toward the looming mountain. Renee stammers out her agreement, while Adele simply adds with a calm, yep. But his eyes aren't on the peak. Instead, they're locked on a single, ordinary-looking rock on the ground. His landmark. With one swift kick, the rock shifts aside, revealing a hidden mechanism beneath it. The earth trembles. Stone grinds against stone as the ground splits open. Renee stares, wide-eyed, as a massive stone structure begins to rise from the earth. A chilling wave of dark energy rushes out from the newly revealed entrance. She mutters a curse under her breath, her disbelief plain. Adele doesn't need to understand the exact words to know what she meant. Son of a bitch. He keeps his expression smooth, hiding the truth of his bloodline. That secret must never come out. Not to her. Not to anyone. Instead, he gestures calmly toward the entrance. Only I know the way into the domain. And as the author, he does. Beneath the largest rock statue, soldiers of rotting flesh keep eternal guard. This is the only true way in. They stop before a staircase descending into darkness. Renee grips her sword and asks, "Shall I take the lead?" Adele raises a hand. No. I'll go first. A torch fixed to the wall bursts into flame as they step forward, its sputtering light casting jagged shadows along the damp stone. To Adele's surprise, the deeper they go, the brighter it becomes. A strange magical glow seeps from the very walls, illuminating the cavern. Over there, Renee says, her tone sharp, pointing ahead. The tunnel opens into a vast underground graveyard. Tombstones stretch endlessly across the cavern floor, a crumbling castle looming in the distance. A dense, toxic green mist blankets everything, seeping into their lungs with every breath. Adele frowns. This place makes the Bear family's training domain look like a playground. He counts quickly. At least 100 new graves since the last time he wrote about this place. Renee's voice cuts through his thoughts. Let's go. She draws her sword, its edge gleaming. Adele nods. All right. The instant their feet touch the soil, the ground quakes. A skeletal hand rips through the dirt. Then another. Then dozens. One by one, skeletons claw their way up, their hollow eye sockets glowing with sinister light. Within moments, an army of the dead surrounds them, weapons raised and rattling. Adele takes a sharp step back. Miss, I'll leave this to you. Renee exhales in irritation, but her grip tightens around her sword. Yep. With that, her blade erupts in a brilliant blue aura. She launches forward with a fierce cry, becoming a storm of steel and light. Bones splinter and armor crumbles as she carves through the undead, her movements fast, precise, unstoppable. Adele can only watch, impressed. He definitely made the right choice bringing her here. But something is wrong. He notices it almost immediately, the bones on the ground twitch, shudder, then pull themselves back together. One by one, the fallen skeletons rise again, whole and ready to fight. Renee's eyes widen. They revived. The endless battle closes in. And then, out of the castle's shadow, the true master of the domain emerges. A lick. Its skeletal figure radiates malice, red eyes burning like twin flames of hatred. Its voice echoes across the graveyard as it commands its army forward. The horde surges. Renee spins toward Adele, desperation breaking through her battle focus. What do we do? Adele points straight at the castle, his voice cutting through the chaos. The source is there. Don't stop, keep pushing forward, miss. He needs her to carve a path, straight to the lick. A skeleton lunges at him. Adele parries its blade, shoving it back just long enough to catch a breath. His gaze never leaves the distant figure. Renee! I've got a way to end this quickly. Hearing the confidence in his voice, Renee doubles down, her sword flashing with renewed fury. Got it, she shouts, tearing through another line of skeletal warriors. Her blade slices arcs of blue light, opening a clear line between them and the lick. The lick reacts instantly. Its bony hand rises, a pulsing red orb glowing ominously within its grip. Dark energy surges, its voice commanding the undead to swarm tighter, faster, more vicious. We just need to reach him. Adele yells, his plan snapping into place. Break the caster's orb, and it's over. But the lick isn't finished. With a bone-rattling screech, it summons a new guardian, an enormous skeleton clad in cracked, heavy armor, a jagged greatsword in its grip. It slams into the earth before Renee, blocking her path. Adele grits his teeth. Of course it won't be that easy, he shouts, miss. Renee doesn't falter. Her body blazes with blue energy as she lets out a furious war cry. She lifts her blade high, then crashes it down with everything she has. The ground trembles with the impact. The armored skeleton explodes into shards, its bones scattering in every direction. The path is clear. Adele's eyes blaze. This is it. He activates his skill. Position transfer, level 2. Designate. His vision sharpens, glowing as he locks onto his target. A dagger slides into his grip, aura swirling around it. But his aim isn't for the lick itself, it's for the glowing red orb in its hand. Exchange. In a flash of light, the orb vanishes from the licker's grasp. The necromancer looks down, stunned, its skeletal fingers now clutching nothing but a plain dagger. Adele grins, the orb now pulsing with power in his own hand. Nice catch, he shouts. The licker's scream rattles the graveyard. No! Adele doesn't hesitate. He tightens his fist, cracks spiderwebbing across the orb's surface until it shatters in his grasp. A shockwave rips outward. The entire army of skeletons collapses at once, their bodies crumbling into dust and bone. Silence falls over the graveyard. Adele pumps his fist triumphantly. We did it, miss. Renee, chest rising and falling with heavy breaths, manages a small but genuine yep. She lowers her sword, turning to him with a look of gratitude. Thank you. Adele's eyes drift across the silent tombs. A heavy weight presses against his chest. He knows the truth of this place, the endless suffering, the tragedy he himself had written into existence. He closes his eyes, whispering a silent prayer. May you rest at peace. Adele. Renee's voice cuts through his thoughts. He looks back as she asks softly, is there anything else we need to do? A grin spreads across his face. Yes, it's time for the reward. The earth rumbles. Before them, a massive treasure chest emerges from the ground, ornate and glowing faintly with magical light. Adele's heart races as the dust settles. Finally. The item he's been waiting for. The prize that will change everything. Inside the chest are 2 items, wickedly powerful treasures, waiting to be claimed. Inside the chest lie 2 treasures. The first is a dagger, its sleek, obsidian blade glimmering faintly with a blue aura. The Fang of Darkness. Adele exhales a quiet, awed breath. Woo, he picks it up, feeling the faint hum of energy coursing through it. Perfectly balanced, sharp, alive in his grip. A confident smile spreads across his face. This blade doesn't just cut, it converts darkness into mana, amplifying speed and precision. A weapon perfectly suited for his darkness trait. The second item rests in a small box, a silver ring, delicate and ornate. The Eternal Full Moon Ring. An artifact that absorbs moonlight, heightening mana sensitivity. Useful, but not something he particularly needs. Turning to Renee, Adele holds the box out. You should take the ring. I'll keep the dagger. She studies him for a beat, then nods. All right. That seems fair. Let me, Adele says, reaching for her hand. Before she can protest, he gently takes it and slides the ring onto her finger himself. The moment the band touches her skin, a flash of radiant light bursts forth. Renee's eyes go wide as a deep blush spreads across her cheeks. She yanks her hand back, face burning, avoiding his gaze completely. Adele blinks, baffled. He has no idea what just happened. Is there some hidden demon tradition about rings? Trying to smooth over the silence, he clears his throat. So, how does it feel? Her answer comes as a teal aura envelops her body, the artifact's power flowing into her veins. Renee's eyes widen, this time with genuine awe. This is incredible, she whispers, astonished by the sudden surge of strength. Adele leans back, satisfied. At least she likes it. But then his eyes drift toward the rest of the chest, specifically, the glittering mountain of gold coins piled inside. His lips curl into a greedy grin. Since I handled the boss, I'll just take all the gold for myself. He chuckles under his breath, his face practically glowing at the thought of wealth. Until a frigid glare from Renee freezes him in place. Adele stiffens, his grin collapsing instantly. He coughs, forcing out a nervous laugh. Oh, of course, I'll distribute it evenly. Down to the very last coin. Renee narrows her eyes but says nothing. With the domain cleared, they make their way back, returning to the mansion just before dinner. The following month falls into a rhythm. Adele spends his days running errands for Renee and honing his mana. His relentless training pays off. By the time he checks his status again, his mana has risen to nearly 1,300. He can't help but smile in satisfaction. At last, he's climbing into the mid-ranks of the demon realm. A solid start. But peace never lasts. One morning, both Adele and Renee are summoned to the throne room. The air inside is heavy, tense. Crete sits upon his throne, his golden eyes unreadable as they sweep over the two of them. The time has come, he announces. You will now enter Saitan. Adele and Renee exchange a look. The moment they've been waiting for has arrived. You depart for the capital today, Crete continues. The academy awaits. Are your preparations complete? Yes, they both answer simply. Without another glance, Crete turns his back to them. His voice is cold, dismissive. Go. I see no need for a farewell. Renee lowers her gaze, the disappointment flickering across her face before she masks it with formality. She bows deeply to her father's back before turning away. Adele straightens, his voice respectful. Then I'll escort the young miss out. He turns to follow her. Adele. Crete's voice halts him just as he turns to leave. The demon lord doesn't face him, his gaze fixed out the tall window. His voice drops low, quiet, almost uncharacteristically so. I hope you'll do well. Adele blinks in surprise at the unexpected words. Then, with a small smile, he replies simply, yes. Outside, a grand carriage waits, black and ornate, pulled by two massive demonic horses. A servant calls out, announcing their immediate departure. From his high window, Crete watches silently. His face remains stern, but his eyes carry something deeper as the carriage prepares to pull away. Adele climbs aboard, glancing back toward that window one last time. So, he did care after all. He smirks faintly. Maybe even demons share the same feelings when it comes to family. The wheels creak, then rumble as the carriage lurches forward. Dust rises, and the Bear family estate disappears into the distance. Ahead lies their new chapter, Saitan. Inside, Adele sits in silence, his mind buzzing. He glances at Renee. She hasn't spoken a word since they left, her eyes fixed firmly on the passing scenery outside the window. Did I do something wrong? He wonders. But Renee isn't angry. She's thinking. Her mind drifts back to her first impression of him. She hadn't liked him one bit. But now, she has to admit he looks better than she first thought. Adele, noticing her gaze, panics slightly and blurts out awkwardly, "Nice weather today, here?" Renee doesn't answer, still studying him. His mannerisms, his words, they don't carry the weight she'd expect. He doesn't feel strong. Could he really be a priest? Her eyes narrow as doubt creeps in. But then she scolds herself. Idiot. You saw it with your own eyes. He spoke to the demon god. So why is she questioning him now? Meanwhile, Adele is spiraling. She's staring at me so hard. I must have messed up, didn't I? Renee rests her chin on her hand, her gaze falling to the silver ring on her finger. Heat creeps across her cheeks again. The moment he had slipped it on flashes back in her mind. In the demon realm, when someone places a ring on the finger of the opposite gender, it isn't just casual. It's an eternal vow. A silent promise. And he had done it so offhandedly, without a word. What vow was he making? Her eyes narrow slightly, curiosity burning within her. Miss Adele's voice breaks through her thoughts. We'll be arriving in about an hour. Her head snaps up. Already? She hadn't expected the time to pass so quickly. She turns to him, her face conflicted, emotions swirling she can't quite voice. Then, with a sharp huff, she looks away. Adele tilts his head, bewildered. Did I mess up again? He asks cautiously, but Renee cuts him off flatly. I'm taking a nap. Right. Adele sinks back with a defeated sigh. The carriage slows. The wheels clatter against cobblestone before finally coming to a stop. A footman opens the door. We've arrived. Adele steps out, luggage in hand, and the sight takes his breath away. Before him sprawls a massive city, alive with movement. A bustling medieval metropolis, streets filled with shops, carriages, vendors, and demons of every shape and size. Horns, wings, tails, scales, their appearances vary wildly, but this is normal here. Adele glances around in awe. So this is the capital of the demon realm. It isn't so different from the human realm cities, stone buildings, busy markets, the same medieval charm. But there's one thing that stands apart. What sets the elite apart becomes obvious almost immediately. Tattoos. Adele spots a blond man strolling confidently through the crowd, a smirk on his face, a black mark etched boldly across his neck. It looks strikingly similar to the one branded onto Adele himself. Before he can dwell on it, Renee's sharp voice snaps him back. What are you waiting for? Hurry up. All right. He hurries after her, weaving through the busy streets. As they walk, Adele asks, So, where exactly are we headed? Renee answers without looking at him. The entrance exam. It's at noon in 2 days. We need to register before then. Adele's eyes brighten. 2 days, here? Then how about we tour the capital in the meantime? Not happening. Bluebirds might as well fly over his head. He deflates instantly, staring after her, completely rejected. He tries again. Could it be that you're? We don't have time, she cuts him off, already striding ahead. Let's register. Adele sighs, baffled as ever. He just can't figure her out. And then he sees it. On the horizon rises the sprawling campus of Saitan Academy, its massive towers and fortifications dominating the skyline. The place where his survival will be tested like never before. At the registration hall, the air is thick with students lining up. A bald official sits behind a desk, his face bored as he dismisses a boy with a barked, "Come back in 2 days." Next. Adele steps forward. We're here to register for entry. The registrar lifts his pen lazily, until his eyes settle on Adele. He pauses, glaring at him up and down. What are you? Adele tilts his head, caught off guard. What am I? The man's expression twists into disgust. His voice rises, venom dripping from every word. A half-demon dares to reply? Do you think this is some common marketplace? Adele exhales a long, tired sigh. He can already see where this is heading. The registrar slams his pen down, spittle flying as he spits out more venom. It's because of rat bastards like you that our world is in this state. Adele blinks, genuinely confused by the hostility. But before the man can spew another insult, Renee steps forward, placing herself between Adele and the desk. The registrar freezes as his eyes fall on her horns. His face drains of color. MMI apologizes, he stammers. You're from one of the 7 deadly sins. His tone shifts instantly, groveling. Please, state your house and identity. Renee looks down at him coldly. House bear. Renee. She gestures sharply to Adele. And this is my guard. You'll be admitting him along with me. It's not a request, it's an order. The registrar's lip curls in contempt. House bear must be lowering its standards, hiring a half-demon. Enough. The word cracks like a whip. A wave of crushing blue energy erupts from Renee, her eyes glowing with fury. The floor trembles beneath the sheer weight of her aura. Insult my house again, she warns, her voice cold and sharp as ice, and you'll regret it. The registrar's face goes pale. He bows his head repeatedly, stammering. Oh, of course. We don't discriminate here. Forget what I said. Please, just state his identity. Thinking fast, Adele puts on a polite smile. House Pixie. Adele. The registrar scribbles furiously, nodding too quickly. All right. Registration complete. Next. The two walk away, the crowd's whispers following them. Adele exhales slowly. At least now he understands the hatred. During the last war, half-demons sided with humans, and they were stronger for it. To demons, half-bloods are traitors by nature. Still, the bitterness stings. He glances at Renee, still fuming from the encounter. Miss. We should find a place to stay. They wander the streets until they stop in front of a modest, old-looking inn. The inn they find is modest, old, and tucked into a quiet corner of the city. Adele studies it for a moment. Well, it looks clean enough. Renee, however, is far from impressed. She wrinkles her nose. These taverns are too old. Adele just smiles, unfazed. It can't be helped. We don't have much money. Your father only gave us 10 gold. That's barely enough for 2 people to survive a month. He shrugs, deciding not to mention how poor the Bear family has become since the war. Asking Crete for more was never an option. Shall we go in? He asks cheerfully. Renee doesn't answer, her silence making her displeasure obvious. Inside, the dimly lit tavern smells faintly of ale and wood smoke. The innkeeper greets them with a curt welcome. Adele steps up to the counter. A room for 2, for 2 days. The innkeeper nods. We have one. Then pauses. Will you both be staying in the same room? Renee freezes. Her entire body stiffens, her face flushing crimson. And no. Separate rooms, please, she blurts out. Adele blinks, oblivious, and smiles politely. The innkeeper just raises a brow. Oh, okay. 2 rooms come to a total of 2 gold. Adele nods. About what I expected. Still flustered, Renee mutters quickly, I'll go up first. She bolts toward the stairs without another word. Adele calls after her, still smiling warmly. I'll bring up the luggage soon. Please, have a good rest. At the stairs, Renee glances back, her face unreadable. Okay. You too, she says softly, then disappears down the hall. Adele watches her go, tilting his head. She's always lived in a huge mansion, this must be her first time in a place like this. He shrugs. She'll get used to it. He decides it's best to rest as well. They'll need their strength for what's coming. 2 days later. They stand before a massive, fortress-like building, Seitan Academy's registration hall. A knight in full armor guards the entrance, barking orders. Applicants, inside. Adele and Renee step through the towering doors into a vast hall packed shoulder to shoulder with people. At least 100 demons, all here for the same purpose. Adele's eyes sweep the crowd. So many just for a chance to fight humans. I have to be careful. I can't let my real identity slip. A guide at the front waves the crowd forward. Present your IDs and board in order. Adele blinks. Bored? The answer comes quickly. They are led out to a massive platform, where a colossal steampunk-style train waits, its iron frame gleaming, steam hissing from enchanted vents. Adele's jaw drops. A train? Here? I didn't expect that. The train roars to life, surging forward and plunging straight into a swirling dimensional portal. Adele grips his seat, his mind flashing with memories of the novel. Right. I wrote this. The academy is protected by countless dimensional mazes. The only way in is this train. The fortress they had seen from the outside, that wasn't the academy at all. That was only one piece of it. Just how massive is this place? A sharp announcement echoes through the train. We will be arriving at Saitan shortly. Brace for impact. The carriage lurches violently. The passengers jolt in their seats, Adele included. Then, with a grinding screech, the train halts. Steam billows as the doors open, revealing a platform in front of a structure so vast and magnificent it takes Adele's breath away. We finally arrived, he whispers. The train lets out one last hiss as it comes to a complete stop. Applicants, this way, a guide calls. And so, the true beginning of their Saitan journey begins. The guides usher the applicants into a colossal auditorium where the exam will take place. The crowd of young demons shuffles forward, their footsteps echoing across the polished stone floors of the massive station. The towering double doors creak open, and the wave of bodies flows into an enormous, ornate hall. Adele looks up, his eyes widening at the impossibly high vaulted ceilings. It's huge. His gaze sweeps the room. Almost everyone here is young, fresh faces full of ambition, arrogance, or fear. Are any of the heirs of the 7 deadly sins here too? He wonders. Off to the side, a cluster of figures in imposing uniforms stands apart. Instructors. Their presence radiates authority, and Adele thinks quickly. If I can make a good impression on them, life here might get a little easier. But his thoughts are cut short. Time's up. The voice booms across the hall. The massive doors slam shut with a thunderous boom, sealing them in darkness. Confusion ripples through the crowd. It had been broad daylight only moments ago. Adele stiffens. Magic. Whatever this exam is, it's already begun. A voice rings out from the shadows, dripping with power and disdain. Silence. A single spotlight flares to life, illuminating a high balcony. A lone figure stands above them, long hair flowing, a draconic headdress framing her sharp features. Her piercing pink eyes glow like blades in the dark. Her cruel smile cuts through the silence. Welcome to Saitan, you bunch of brainless, idiotic fools. The words drip with contempt. She scans the trembling students like a predator sizing up prey. So eager to die this year, are you? The sheer weight of her voice presses down on them like a physical force. Then she laughs softly. Enough small talk. Her form ripples, shifting into a monstrous, wolf-like silhouette before their eyes. Let's begin the entrance exam immediately. A wave of searing purple energy explodes outward, blanketing the entire hall. The assault slams into their minds like a hammer. Students scream, clutching their heads, collapsing where they stand. Renee, a student cries out nearby. Focus on the exam, she snaps back, gritting her teeth. The pressure is suffocating. All around, bodies drop to the floor. The instructors watch from the sidelines, unmoved. One smirks. The headmaster's tastes are as twisted as ever. Another, a woman with violet hair, shakes her head. Talent means nothing. If your willpower is weak, you're useless. The figure above them, Headmaster Lucian, finally speaks, her voice echoing coldly. This is a test of mental endurance. If you cannot endure this much, how could you withstand interrogation? How could you protect our secrets if captured by humans? Minutes crawl by like hours. Adele feels his knees trembling, sweat rolling down his face. 5 minutes. That's all it takes for the hall to thin into chaos. Almost every student lies crumpled on the ground. Renee remains upright, breathing hard but steady. This is enough for now, she tells herself, bracing through the storm. A female instructor sighs in disappointment. Aside from a handful, nearly all are down. I had higher expectations. Another instructor checks the count. Roughly 40% lasted 5 minutes. That's better than last year, at least. The woman muses aloud. Rumor said all the heirs of the 7 deadly sins would be here this year. It seems the rumor was true. The head instructor nods slightly, until his eyes narrow, focusing on a lone figure still standing. Not an heir. Not anyone he recognizes. Just a half-demon, drenched in sweat, trembling but refusing to fall. Adele. Panting, vision blurring, he pushes himself past his limit. Adele is at his absolute limit. The female instructor folds her arms, muttering, strange. His lasted nearly 10 minutes, but he won't last much longer. On cue, Adele lets out a strangled gasp. His body trembles uncontrollably, his knees buckling as he finally starts to collapse. And then, the head instructor's eyes snap wide open. Something is wrong. A violent surge of energy erupts from Adele's body, dark red, chaotic, lashing out like a storm. The entire hall quakes under its weight. The instructors stare in stunned silence. Even Headmaster Lucian, her face usually fixed in condescending amusement, leans forward, her smirk fading into genuine surprise. Ares, the head instructor, grips his sword, his expression grim. This power, it's dangerous. His voice rings with authority. We must kill him here. Up until now, Adele was nothing more than another applicant barely clinging to consciousness. But suddenly, everything changed. Ares stiffens as something brushes over him, cold, precise, merciless. His body reacts before his mind can. He grips the hilt of his sword tighter, his instincts screaming danger. This wasn't the wild, untamed aura of a beast. This was worse. Far worse. It was killing intent. The detached, casual malice of someone crushing a bug underfoot. The kind of aura only a true murderer radiates. Every instructor's gaze snaps toward Adele. What? Ares mutters, his heart pounding. For the first time in years, he feels nervous. And all because of a mere applicant. He's about to strike. But from her balcony, Lucian raises a single hand. Her command is silent but absolute, stand down. A calming wave of blue energy floods the hall, her aura wrapping around the storm like a leash, smothering the immediate danger. Ares grits his teeth, glaring up at her. He can't believe it. She's intrigued, while he's shaken. Beside him, the female instructor chuckles softly, her smile amused. Interesting, isn't he? Flashback. Adele is on his hands and knees, gasping for breath as Lucian's mental pressure crushes him. His vision swims. He can feel his sanity slipping. I can't hold on. He needs something, anything, to fight back. And then it hits him. A desperate, reckless idea. What if I use it? His killing intent. The same aura that branded him as a villain. Dangerous, uncontrollable. But if he doesn't try, he'll break here and now. His fingers dig into the floor as he screams, unleashing it all. A storm of red and black energy explodes from him, his eyes igniting with raw malice. From above, Lucian tilts her head, amusement flickering in her glowing pink eyes. Oh? Holding out pretty well. Should I increase the intensity? Her aura slams down even harder, heavier than before. Adele's lips twist into a wild grin. His crimson aura roars to life, colliding violently with her calm blue energy. The clash erupts like thunder, red and blue slamming together in a storm of power that rattles the entire hall. Lucian's eyes widen slightly, real surprise flickering across her face. This half-demon nobody is pushing back. The explosion subsides. Adele staggers, gasping, his crimson aura fading. His body trembles, but somehow, he forces himself upright. He lets out a ragged laugh, a shaky but triumphant smile breaking across his face. It worked, he pants. The crushing weight is gone. His first instinct is to check on Renee. He turns and sees her standing firm, completely steady. Just as he expected from a daughter of the bear's family, she's holding her ground without faltering. His gaze drifts across the other survivors. Familiar faces. The heirs he once wrote into his novel, the heirs of the 7 deadly sins. There's Baltan of envy, Prone of lust, Samuel of gluttony with those sharp green eyes, and Aaron of sloth, expressionless as always, standing next to the towering guardian of greed. He remembers writing them all with genuine fondness, yet he also remembers their inevitable fate. Every one of them, 6 in total, Renee included, was destined to fall to the main character's party. The thought weighs heavily on him. But then, his heart jolts. His eyes widen in disbelief. Among the survivors stands someone who should never be here. Long white hair. Crimson eyes. A crown of brown thorns. There's no mistaking her. Diana. The heir of Wrath. The one who would someday become the Demon Lord, the greatest villain of the demonic realm. Before he can process it, the headmaster's voice cuts through the tension, announcing the end of the first exam. Adele's mind races. The Demon King had always come from the Wrath family, but Diana herself, the successor, showing up here as just another applicant? That shouldn't be possible. Something has shifted in this world, something even the author himself doesn't know. Meanwhile, chaos breaks out as the failed students regain their senses. Some wail in disbelief, others protest loudly. Impossible! I failed! Noble's children, spoiled and arrogant, scream at the instructors, throwing around their fathers' names as if that alone could save them. But Aries has no patience for their tantrums. In a blur, he seizes one of the loudest complainers by the face and lifts him off the ground with terrifying ease. His voice rumbles low. I couldn't care less who your father is. Got that? The boy flails and chokes. Aries hurls him to the floor like trash. Don't make me repeat myself, he warns, his tone sharp as a blade. The student crawls away, shaken to his core. Aries then addresses the rest of the failures, his voice carrying like thunder across the hall. If you couldn't even last 5 minutes, you don't belong here. You're dismissed. At his command, the massive doors slam shut, sealing the fate of the expelled students. Adele watches grimly. So this is Saitan, ruthless to the core. Still, he reminds himself, he passed. That's what matters. His eyes drift upward to the balcony. And then he realizes who the woman up there is. The headmaster of Saitan. He knew she looked familiar. Despite her deceptively cute appearance, Headmaster Lucian is one of the most powerful beings in the entire demonic realm. Adele tightens his grip on the dagger at his side. Passing the first exam was pure luck. He knows one wrong move could mean failure next time. Around him, students whisper. Their voices are filled with awe. That's Renee, the Amazon, the prodigy of the Bears family. Admiration follows her as she walks past, her reputation clearly well known here. Adele mutters to himself. It figures. The heirs of the 7 deadly sins are all famous. Each of them endured the overwhelming force of the headmaster's test. Still, he can't help but feel irritated. No one notices that he survived too. And just as the thought crosses his mind, Renee walks straight up to him. You passed as well. Well, Adele. He smiles faintly. Yes. I passed. Satisfaction runs through him. He's certain he left the impression that he's not just another ordinary applicant. Surely, both the instructors and even the headmaster will remember him now. Then, attention. Aries' voice cuts sharp through the chatter, silencing the hall in an instant. He steps forward and introduces himself formally. My name is Aries. I will be your instructor. Adele studies him carefully. The man looks like the kind who'd casually carry a sashimi knife in his pocket, dangerous to the core. Aries congratulates them on clearing the first test of mental strength. He explains it was designed to measure whether they could maintain sanity while enduring torture from humans in the future. Another instructor steps in, adding that the 8 applicants who held out until the very end will earn extra points. And, if they excel in the next exam, they'll be granted access to the army. The army? Adele thinks, barely containing his excitement. So lucky. He silently thanks himself for clinging on to the bitter end. The jealous stares from the other students don't escape him. He can feel their envy burning holes into his back. Aries calls for silence again, his tone commanding. Now I will explain the second exam. The atmosphere shifts. Even Renee's expression hardens as she listens intently. In this exam, Aries continues, you will display your abilities. You'll show us the talents and weapons you would use against humans. Samuel, the heir of gluttony, leans forward slightly, absorbing every word. Aries explains that the results will determine their assigned classes. Adele processes quickly, it makes sense. Classes will be divided based on skill and capability. But the real question nags at him, what kind of human will they have to fight? Aries raises his hand, answering before anyone can ask. Your assignment for the second exam, and the opponent you'll be facing, will be this. He snaps his fingers. A brilliant light erupts, flooding the hall in a dazzling glow. Turquoise energy swirls outward from Aries' hand, weaving itself into magical constructs. Figures begin to form, one in front of each remaining applicant. Adele's opponent materializes before him, draped in furs, a massive sword gleaming in her grip, and the spirit of a tiger looming powerfully at her back. Adele's blood runs cold. His face pales. Wait, no. That's... Recognition slams into him. The strongest hero among the heads of the great families. Nael. The one whose mere presence bends the air with crushing power. The Sword Saint. Adele freezes, unable to move. Why is someone like him here? This wasn't supposed to happen. Nothing in the story ever went this way. A tap on his shoulder snaps him out of his panic. Renee, serious as ever, leans in. Adele. Do you know who that person is? His grimace says it all. Of course I do. That's Nina Sell, the head of House 9. The truth sinks heavy in his chest. Nina Sell isn't just a powerhouse from history. He's bound by bloodline. The legendary Sword Saint, the very man who raised the protagonist. The father of the story's main character. Whispers ripple through the students like wildfire. That's the Sword Saint, someone blurts out in shock. Another voice, trembling with fear. Are they just trying to eliminate us from the start? Adele isn't surprised they recognize him. Nina Sell's name carries weight. He crushed countless demon houses during the Great War. His reputation echoes across generations. Ares addresses the room, his tone calm yet merciless. Naturally, we don't expect you to endure the full power of the Sword Saint. He clarifies, he'll only use 10% of his strength. One student mutters bitterly, if he used his full strength, none of us would even be alive. Adele couldn't agree more. Adele overhears a student whispering, isn't 10% too easy? He just shakes his head. Not at all. A monster remains a monster, no matter how much you weaken it. Even stripped down to a mere fraction of his strength, the Sword Saint could still level an entire city without breaking a sweat. Adele's mind races. How are we supposed to pass a test like this? There must be a hidden standard they're expected to meet. He wishes he could use his information scroll for answers, but he has no money, and the scroll's questions are limited. He's on his own. Ares begins explaining the rules. Since none of them can hope to face the Sword Saint alone, the applicants will be divided into teams of 4. To keep it balanced, the top 8 performers from the first exam will serve as team leaders. Adele stiffens. The top 8, that means the 7 heirs of the Sin houses, and me. He lets out a quiet sigh. It feels less like he earned the spot and more like he was dragged into it. Around him, students buzz with excitement, eager to be paired with one of the famous prodigies. Renee, naturally, looks completely uninterested. But Adele can feel the other kind of stares too, the sharp, jealous ones aimed right at him. He knows exactly what they are thinking. Some students get geniuses for leaders, and others are stuck with a half-demon. He feels a light tap on his shoulder. Renee. Her expression, surprisingly sincere, catches him off guard. Get a pass and come back safe. For a moment, Adele blinks in surprise, then gives her a genuine smile. I wish you success as well, Miss Renee. Ares resumes, calling out team assignments one by one. After dozens of groups, his voice finally booms. Group 33. Leader, Adele. Members, Kina, Chris, Sanchez. Adele doesn't recognize a single name. Extras, maybe. Characters who didn't matter in his original story. Still, his team approaches him. A silver-haired boy with bright eyes, a blonde girl with a gentle air, and a scowling young man with spiky black hair. Adele greets them with a friendly smile. I'm Adele. Nice to meet you. The silver-haired boy steps up eagerly. Hi. I'm Chris. He gestures toward the blonde girl. This is Kina. She gives a polite wave. Then Chris points at the last member. And that's Sanchez. Sanchez lets out a dismissive scoff, turning away with a grunt before glaring back at Adele. A half-demon as team leader? What a disgrace to my house. Adele sighs inwardly. Even nobodies were looking down on him now. A disgrace to his house? Does this guy actually think he's on the same level as the heirs? Shaking off the insult, Adele claps his hands, forcing a cheerful tone. Well, let's do our best anyway. Chris and Kina nod with enthusiasm. Sanchez sulks in silence. Adele takes charge. First, we need to assign roles. Tell me what weapons or abilities you use. Chris, you start. Chris brightens and explains. His ability is mana transformation. He can form triangular prisms of mana and reshape them into armor or a sword. He demonstrates, summoning a glowing blue prism that hums in the air. It's not the most lethal ability, he admits, but it's versatile. Adele nods thoughtfully. I see. Not bad at all. He passes the test in Adele's eyes. Next. Kina. Kina shifts shyly. I'm not really combat-oriented. I'm more support. Adele tilts his head. A buffer type. She nods. Yes. I pray to the demon god to enhance. Kina clasps her hands together, her voice steady as she begins her chant. A warm golden aura radiates from her, wrapping around her allies in a soft glow. Her magic flows outward, a blessing of speed. With a final flourish, she finishes the spell and pants from the effort. How was that? You feel lighter, right? Adele pauses. Deadpan, yeah. I think so. Kina's face falls. You're so mean. Adele quickly chuckles, raising his hands. I was joking. Don't be upset. But inside, he isn't impressed at all. The buff is so faint he can barely feel it. He honestly doesn't know how she managed to clear the first test. Turning to their final, and clearly most difficult, member, Adele says, now, lastly. Sanchez. My ability is this, Sanchez mutters, his back turned. His skin hardens, shifting into jagged rock. Oh. A hardening ability, Adele notes with a smile. Perfect for a tank. Sanchez spins, pointing a rocky finger at Adele. Now it's your turn. Before anyone can blink, Adele flicks a coin into the air. A flash of blue light bursts, and in the next instant, he's behind Sanchez, his arm locked around the man's neck. Sanchez's eyes widen in disbelief. He hadn't even sensed the move until it was too late. Adele leans close, his grin sharp. Teleportation, he whispers, his crimson eyes glinting. He lets Sanchez go and steps back. That's my ability. Chris and Kina practically explode with excitement. Whoa! Teleportation? That's incredible. Adele laughs it off, thanking them, though inside he keeps quiet about the truth. He won't reveal the full scope of his position transferability. Too many unknowns lie ahead. Best to keep his cards hidden. With the team's roles revealed, he lays out the plan. Positioning is simple. Chris, Sanchez, you'll take the front line. I'll stay in the middle. Kina, you'll support us from the rear. Kina and Chris nod immediately. Sanchez grunts his reluctant agreement. A voice booms across the hall. We will now begin the second test. Each group, prepare yourselves. Adele smiles faintly. Finally. It's starting. Group 1. Step forward. 4 demons march to the front, determination etched into their every move. Adele watches, intrigued. Even knowing they face the Sword Saint, there's fire in their eyes. The construct of Nina Cell steps forward, raising his massive blade. A faint light runs along its edge, deadly and precise. Then, without warning, the sword vanishes into motion. Blindingly fast, it cleaves through the air in a storm of strikes. A phantom flurry, cutting the students down in an instant. Screams fill the hall as they are thrown aside, defeated before a single attack could land. Adele's blood runs cold. I couldn't even see him move. He stares, horrified. That's only 10% of his power? Next. Group 2. Aries' voice is steady, unaffected. The second group charges in, and falls just as brutally, just as quickly. Next. Group 3. The massacre continues. One by one, students are torn apart by the Sword Saint's overwhelming strength. Beside Adele, Chris and Kina watch with pale faces, their confidence crumbling with every swing of the blade. Group 4. Step forward, Aries commands. But one of the students snaps, shouting in despair. No way! There's no point, we're all going to lose. Their spirit has broken before the battle even starts. Aries turns his gaze on the trembling student. Aries regards the trembling protester with nothing but contempt. His tone is ice. Very well. You two may skip the test. The words sting like a slap. He turns to the remaining pair. And what about you? They hesitate, their fear plain, but then one steps forward. His voice shakes, yet there's steel hidden within it. Yes, we'll give it a shot. Adele watches closely, a slow smile curving across his lips. So they're actually going ahead with it. I see now. The true purpose of this trial begins to click into place. In the face of an opponent so overwhelming that teams are forfeiting before even trying, the real qualification must be resolve. Strength alone won't be enough, it's the will to step forward anyway. Where others pale with dread, Adele wears only a calm, knowing smile. Chris whispers in disbelief, shouldn't we just forfeit too? Adele dismisses the idea with a glance, not even entertaining it. The instructor's voice cuts through the tension, merciless as ever. Group 4. Begin. The two students step forward like condemned men walking to the gallows. Across the arena, the Sword Saint looms, his massive blade gleaming. His aura crashes down on the hall like a suffocating wave, so heavy it seems to devour the very air. Adele narrows his eyes. He already knows the outcome. 2 against that monster? Not a chance. He folds his arms. Better to watch. Better to learn. And then, just as he predicted, it ends in a heartbeat. A single swing. A surge of energy. The students are hurled across the floor, broken and defeated. One of Adele's teammates screams in terror. Adele, however, remains composed. Coolly, he notes, if he'd unleashed real sword aura, they wouldn't even be bodies right now. The dread finally sinks in for his group. Chris's voice cracks. How are we supposed to fight something like that? Sanchez scoffs loudly, puffing out his chest. Scared of a mere human? Don't make me laugh. But Adele sees right through him. The act is paper thin. Your legs are shaking so loud I can hear them from here. He smirks faintly. And the slaughter continues. Group 5 enters the arena, and is erased in a storm of blue energy. Group 9 follows, their fates identical. The floor becomes a graveyard of battered students, while the Sword Saint stands untouched, blade gleaming, an untouchable wall. Group 10, the instructor calls. The team's leader looks at the carnage, jaw tight. He meets Adele's eyes with a grim expression and declares, "We forfeit." The procession drags on. Teams fall like dominoes. Even Renee's squad, Group 20, steps forward, her face set in steely determination, though Adele knows the outcome will be the same. By the time Group 30 is called, 5 entire teams have forfeited. Not one has managed to land even a single meaningful strike. It is, in every sense, a hopeless battle. Against an opponent who cannot be defeated. And worse, there's no quitting midway. Once you step in, you fight until you're crushed. But then, something shifts. A student in one of the later groups raises his sword. The construct of Nina Cell brings down his blade in a devastating arc, only for the student's glowing weapon to clash against it, halting the strike with a shower of sparks. The impossible has happened. He blocked it. His teammates gasp, stunned. He actually stopped it. Adele leans forward, a small smile tugging at his lips. Interesting. He can see it clearly now. The later groups, they're surviving longer. Their skill is sharper, their techniques cleaner. This exam is evolving before his eyes. As the later groups struggle on, something finally clicks for Adele. His eyes cut past the chaos on the floor, locking onto the Sword Saint. I see, he mutters under his breath. So that's the real test. He turns back to his team. Sanchez is trembling so hard his teeth chatter. Damn it. I'm shaking so much, he mutters. Adele's tone is steady, cold with certainty. It'll be our turn soon. Sanchez stares at him, confused. What do you mean? Adele meets his eyes, expression dead serious. I figured it out. Passing isn't about winning. It's about enduring. About standing back up after being crushed. About refusing to quit, no matter how impossible it looks. That's what they are testing. A sly grin spreads across Adele's face as he leans in. But, what if we go further? Just then, Aries' voice thunders across the hall. Next. Group 33. Adele doesn't move. He finishes his thought, dropping it like a bomb on his team. What if we try to actually beat him? He pats his chest with unwavering confidence. With our power, we can do it. His team falls silent, stunned. Sanchez can only stammer. What? But Chris and Keena's eyes light up instantly. The fire in them ignites. Yeah. Chris grins. It doesn't matter if we lose, Keena says, determination burning in her voice. Adele's eyes flicker with a dark, dangerous energy. This is no longer about passing an exam. In that moment, he isn't just a student, he's channeling the will of the greatest villain he ever wrote. With this talent, I can win. He raises his voice. Now, let's begin. The team surges into formation. Chris charges forward, a shimmering blue barrier flaring to life before him. Adele takes the center, barking out sharp orders. For the briefest second, doubt flickers in his mind. Unlike his story's main character, he never fleshed out Nina Cell. The Sword Saint is a complete unknown. But he pushes the thought away, his voice cutting through the tension. Don't get nervous. Stick to your positions. All right. Chris shouts back, his voice brimming with determination. TCH. I know that much, Sanchez scoffs, though his shaky tone betrays him. Across the arena, the Sword Saint narrows his eyes. Blue energy crackles violently around his blade, the pressure so suffocating it's like the air itself is caving in. Adele's eyes widen as the strike builds. His instincts flare. He screams, "He's coming!" And then, he moves. The Sword Saint slash tears through the air, impossibly fast, a glowing arc of destruction aimed straight at their formation. Chris plants his feet, his barrier blazing. The impact smashes into him like a meteor. His eyes widen, but he refuses to break, until the force hurls him back like a ragdoll. Kina! Protect him! Adele shouts. Leave it to me, she cries, golden light bursting from her palms. Her spell softens Chris's fall, cushioning him before he crashes into the floor. But already, the Sword Saint is swinging again. Sanchez! Adele roars. I know, I know. Sanchez bellows back as stone armor ripples across his body, covering him in jagged rock. The second wave slams into him with crushing force. Cracks spiderweb across his armor as he staggers back, teeth gritted in agony. But he holds. He actually withstood it. Chris scrambles up, shouting with relief. Nice! The team survived the Sword Saint's opening assault. But Adele doesn't celebrate. His sharp eyes caught something, an opening, a flaw in the Sword Saint's stance right after that second slash. Yet his instincts scream at him. Something is off. The opening is too clean. Too perfect. Adele's chest tightens as realization slams into him. It's a trap. The Sword Saint stands tall, aura crackling around him like a storm barely contained. Adele grips his dagger, his mind racing. He's baiting us. This thing isn't just a construct, it's fighting with intelligence. No time to hesitate. The second attack, your positions. Adele roars. A searing blade of energy cleaves toward them. Chris braces, his barrier flaring with desperate force. The impact shatters it like glass, shards of mana scattering as Chris cries out in pain. Adele's stomach sinks. Chris is almost finished, and even Sanchez's rocky armor is fracturing under the strain. One attack did all this. This isn't good, Adele mutters, teeth clenched. Louder, to his team, hold on. Just a little longer. But the Sword Saint shows no mercy. Another strike comes instantly, heavier, faster, merciless. The impact rocks the arena. Sanchez screams as his stone plating splinters, fragments bursting off his body. His armor crumbles completely, leaving him bare and bleeding. It's even stronger, Adele realizes, a bead of sweat slipping down his temple. Sanchez finally snaps, eyes wild with terror. What the hell are you waiting for, Adele? We're all gonna die at this rate. Adele's focus never wavers. We just need to last a little longer. Crazy bastard. Sanchez spits, but Adele barely hears it. His thoughts are razor sharp. We're the only team that blocked the second attack. That alone sets us apart. I'm not giving up here. The Sword Saint lifts his blade again, aura blazing like a sun about to explode. Cold, unrelenting. And in that instant, Adele's eyes snap open. He sees it. The real opening. But at the same moment, Chris collapses, his mana spent. Chris! Kina cries, rushing to his side as he groans, struggling to move. Adele kneels beside him, voice low but commanding. I know it hurts. But trust me, just one more time. Chris trembles, then nods, determination flickering in his eyes. Sanchez's panic boils over. Adele! What the hell are you doing? He's about to attack again. Adele lifts his gaze, unreadable. Yes. Then, slowly, his lips curl. A terrifying grin spreads across his face, eyes glowing blood red, a predator's gleam that chills even his allies to the bone. I'll drive my blade through his throat. His teammates freeze, shivers racing down their spines. This isn't their calm leader anymore. It's something darker. Something dangerous. The Sword Saint wastes no time. Energy builds, his sword lifting high for what feels like the final, decisive blow. He's coming. Sanchez shouts, bracing himself with everything left in his body. Chris stirs weakly, trying to rise. But Adele? He only stands, cold smile sharp as a knife. Sanchez, he says evenly, you're going to have to take this one without Chris's barrier. Sanchez's face drains of color. What? Are you insane? Too late. The Sword Saint's blade comes down, a blinding arc of pure destruction ripping through the arena. Sanchez screams, eyes screwed shut, convinced this is the end. But Adele isn't looking at him. Adele's gaze is fixed squarely on the Sword Saint. And his eyes burn with power. The space behind the Sword Saint shimmers. Adele's voice cuts through the chaos. Position transfer, move. In a flash, he swaps places with Sanchez. Where Sanchez once stood, Adele now faces the storm head-on, the hero's devastating strike crashing harmlessly into empty ground. The Sword Saint turns, caught off guard. But Adele is already moving. Position transfer, designate. His target, the dagger he had hurled behind the Sword Saint seconds earlier. A burst of light. In an instant, Adele reappears, materializing directly at the hero's back. His palm glows with seething red energy, crackling with raw malice. The sword saint whirls around, eyes widening, too late. Die, in a world of monsters. The murderous thought pounds in Adele's skull as his glowing hand drives forward. From the observation deck, Instructor Ares freezes, stunned into silence. Even he hadn't imagined such a scenario. Renee's eyes widen in disbelief. She thought Adele was just a cunning schemer, a pawn dancing around the edge of survival. But now, he's aiming to kill a god. The energy in Adele's hand detonates with a violent crackle as he slams it into the sword saint's back. Blood splatters across the pristine floor. The impact echoes like thunder. The recoil tears through Adele's body. Blood drips from his lips, but he grits his teeth, refusing to falter. Not yet, the fight isn't over. He unleashes his next move. A vortex of shadow erupts, swallowing him and the sword saint alike in a storm of black energy. The arena vanishes into darkness as a swirling sphere of shadow consumes them. Inside the void, Adele staggers, his body screaming in pain. If not for Chris's barrier earlier, I'd be dead already. His ambush wasn't enough to finish it, but now, the sword saint is trapped. No light. No vision. Even his legendary senses can't pierce this abyss. Adele smirks. This is my domain. His dagger, the fang of darkness, pulses with power, stronger here than anywhere else. He raises it high, vowing to end the fight in one final strike. He lunges. But the sword saint isn't just a puppet. Even blinded, even cut off from the world, he moves. His instincts roar to life, his body spinning toward the incoming threat. Adele barely registers the blur before a fist slams into his ribs. The force hurls him across the void like a broken doll. Pain floods his body. The truth settles in, heavy as stone. Even here, even blind, he's still a monster. Adele coughs, dragging himself upright. But there's no fear in his eyes. Only a cruel smile. The smile of a cornered villain. A faint red glint flickers in his gaze as he calls forth the fang of darkness once more. The dagger materializes in the air before him, glowing faintly with sinister purple light. Bait. The sword saint reacts instantly, reaching out to seize the weapon, convinced he can strip Adele of his strength. But Adele only sneers, his voice cutting like a blade. Adele's voice echoes coldly through the void. You're the one who's been lured in. The dagger multiplies in an instant, dozens, then hundreds, until the darkness is filled with blades, every one locked on the trapped hero. Adele clenches his fist. Black blade rain. The storm erupts. A merciless barrage of shadowy daggers tears through the void, raining down from every direction. Outside, his teammates can only stare at the swirling sphere of darkness. They can't see a thing inside. Chris swallows hard, his voice barely a whisper. What the hell is going on in there? On the observation deck, Ares watches, arms folded. His sharp eyes track the surge of energy, his tone grim. It's almost over. The shadows finally recede, curling back into nothingness. And then, Adele steps forward. His back to the crowd, the last wisps of black magic spiraling off him. Behind him, the sword saint collapses to the floor with a heavy thud. Lifeless. Defeated. The hall falls silent. Utter silence. No one moves. No one breathes. Every student, every instructor, is frozen in disbelief. Adele straightens, his blooded frame still standing tall. A triumphant grin spreads across his face. He won. Against the impossible, he won. The hush is broken by laughter. A smug, playful chuckle from the stands. A student with fiery orange hair smirks. That was fun, he says, as if he expected nothing less. Then Chris and Kina rush to Adele's side, faces lit with relief. Adele. That was insane. Chris grabs him, shaking him in pure excitement. You were amazing. Kina's eyes glisten as she checks him over. Are you hurt? What about Sanchez? Adele chuckles softly, slipping easily back into the role of a composed leader. He's fine. Just in shock. The instructors are already helping him. Relief washes over his teammates. But Adele's eyes drift back to the fallen sword saint. His dagger materializes in his hand once more. Calmly, he murmurs, "Shall we finish this?" Chris blinks, confused. Finish? Isn't it already over? Adele ignores him. He walks to the construct's corpse and slowly lifts his boot. Then, crunch. He stomps down hard, crushing the sword saint's head. Chris jumps back, horrified. Adele, what are you doing? Adele glances over his shoulder with a dark smile. The smile of a villain embracing his role. Well, we need to make sure he's really dead, don't we? A ripple of discomfort passes through the instructors. Aries' jaw tightens, his expression grim with disapproval. The brutality was unnecessary. But another voice, amused and mocking, floats down from the stands. Well, for a half-blood, you're not half bad. A woman with long white hair and a single horn leans lazily on her hand, lips curled in a smirk. One of her attendants snickers, adding quickly, compared to you, he's still nothing. She laughs softly. That's true. Her eyes follow Adele, gleaming with disdain. So stupid. So vulgar. His display is both pathetic and amusing to her, proof that no matter what he achieves, his tainted blood will never change. But then, the air shifts. A suffocating aura fills the hall, sharp and cold. The horned woman's smirk falters. She looks up, and freezes. Renee stands a short distance away, her blue eyes blazing with dark, crushing energy. The smug woman's expression crumbles. What the hell? Who's that? Her eyes widen as recognition dawns. The horns, unmistakable. Is that someone from the Bears? Laurel Fron's smirk falters. Renee's gaze locks onto her, sharp and merciless, heavy with killing intent. For the first time, the arrogant noblewoman feels something she's never known before, fear. The air grows colder. The temperature in the hall seems to plummet as every student turns to watch. Whispers ripple through the crowd. Two heirs of the 7 deadly sins houses, now locked in silent combat without a single blow exchanged. Who would win? Laurel's attendants rush to her defense, puffing her up with hollow praise. Of course you'll win, Lady Laurel. But she snaps at them to be quiet. Even she can't ignore the suffocating weight of Renee's aura. Adele notices the tension belatedly. He tilts his head, confused. Wait, that's Renee? Why is she radiating bloodlust? Before he can dwell on it, a deep voice cuts through the storm. Pixie Adele. He startles, turning to find Aries towering over him, the head instructor's expression unreadable. Adele slips instantly into character, masking himself with a clueless, harmless smile. Yes? What is it? Aries narrows his eyes. Are you seriously asking because you don't know? Adele's smile doesn't waver. Yes, I am. The two lock eyes in a tense silence before Aries finally turns away. His voice is low, but it echoes like a threat. I'll be watching you from now on. Adele watches him go, disappointed. He thought he'd earned praise, not suspicion. Still, he makes a mental note, he needs to watch Renee closely. She's trouble. Across the hall, the standoff intensifies. Renee, cloaked in a cold blue aura of pride, faces Laurel Fron, who answers with a sultry, corrupt wave of lust that twists the air around her. A nearby student whispers in awe. Adele, still piecing things together, turns to the student. Who is she? Blue eyes, long hair, one only horn, that's Laurel Fron. House of Lust, the student answers quickly. Adele clicks his tongue. Of course. Laurel Fron. Why is she picking a fight with Renee here of all places? He curses himself. He knows every thread of the human world plot, but when it comes to demon realm politics, he's blind. As if sensing his gaze, Laurel suddenly makes her move. She tears her attention from Renee and fixes it on Adele and his team. Hey, half-blood, she calls, her voice dripping with disdain. Adele blinks, baffled. Here? Me? Laurel points at him, her grin curling into something wicked and commanding. Become my slave. The words detonate like an explosion in the hall. But the scream that follows isn't Adele's. It's Renee. Her eyes flare, glowing with raw fury, her aura whipping into a storm. With a deafening roar, she launches herself forward, sword flashing in her grip. She soars across the hall like a blade of vengeance, her strike aimed directly at Laurel Fron. Gasps fill the room. An insult, a demand, and now, a declaration of war. Two heirs of great demon houses, colliding in the open. Laurel's arrogant mask shatters. Her eyes widen, panic flashing across her face. Are you crazy? She shrieks. She never dreamed Renee would actually attack her in public. But Renee's blade doesn't slow. Steel meets air, slicing down toward Laurel. And then, thunder. Stop! The voice shakes the hall like an earthquake. Aries. Before the sword can strike, he moves, a blur faster than sight. In an instant, he stands between the two heirs, fury carved into his face. Aries' blade flashes, intercepting Renee's strike with effortless precision. The steel hums, locking her sword in place. His voice is cold as winter. Unnecessary quarrels in Saitan are forbidden. The tip of his sword hovers inches from Laurel's throat. His glare sweeps over them both, sharp and merciless. Settle your personal disputes outside these walls. The hall holds its breath. Adele exhales slowly, relief flooding him. If Ares hadn't stepped in, two heirs of the 7 deadly sins clashing here would have been catastrophic. Renee and Laurel lower their weapons, but their eyes remain locked, daggers of hatred cutting between them. Renee scoffs softly, her thoughts clear. This lunatic thinks she can claim what belongs to House Bears? Adele approaches, slipping seamlessly into his mask of concern. With a polite smile, he asks, "Are you all right, miss?" Renee cuts him a sharp side glance, her anger still simmering. She ignores his question, her voice flat. "My group's up next." The coldness stings more than he expected. He was just checking on her, but she pushes him away without hesitation. Then, unexpectedly, her hand brushes his cheek. Adele blinks in surprise as Renee gently presses a handkerchief to his face, wiping away blood and grime. Her expression softens for a fleeting moment. In a low voice, she says, "Good job." The gesture is small, intimate, but in the silent hall, it's a thunderclap. Gasps ripple through the crowd. Laurel's shriek pierces the air. "What the hell is this? What kind of relationship do you two have? Are you dating a half-demon?" Adele, completely oblivious to the cultural weight of Renee's action, only smiles with genuine gratitude. "Thank you." Renee's eyes narrow, suspicion cutting through her earlier softness. "You were holding back, weren't you? You hid your strength to look weaker." Adele blinks, dumbfounded. "What?" Before he can even process her accusation, the instructor calls her group's name. Renee straightens, turning away. "I need to go," she says curtly. Then, almost as an afterthought, she adds, "I won't tell anyone." And with that, she walks off, leaving Adele frozen in place. He stares after her, bewildered. "I used everything I had just to survive, and she thinks I looked weak?" Then the pieces click together. She must believe he's some powerful but obedient priest of the Bears family, and that his victory was never in question. Before he can dwell on it, Laurel's sharp voice cuts through his thoughts. "You. State your name." Adele turns, pointing to himself. "Me." Laurel's eyes glint. "Yes. You." He answers simply. "Adele." Her lips curl into a smirk. "Not a bad name." Adele frowns, cutting straight to the point. "What do you want from me?" Her demeanor shifts instantly, sultry, manipulative. She leans forward, voice dripping with seduction. "Why?" "Because you interrupted me earlier." A wave of pink energy radiates from her body, her lust-fueled magic swirling around him. Her voice drops into a honeyed command. "Leave that bear girl. Serve me instead. I'll give you everything you could ever desire." But Adele simply raises a hand, completely unfazed. His tone remains polite, casual. "I'm sorry. My Mrs. turn is about to start. Maybe next time." Laurel freezes. Her power didn't work? Adele turns away, ignoring her entirely, his smile genuine for the first time. His eyes lock onto the arena. Will I finally get to see Renee's full power? Behind him, Laurel trembles with fury, humiliated in front of everyone. On the floor, Renee steps forward with her team. The Sword Saint construct has regenerated, its blade glowing once more. Her expression remains calm. Almost bored. Adele watches, anticipation burning in his chest. Adele leans forward, his heart racing with anticipation. He has high expectations. Just how strong are the children of the 7 deadly sins, really? The Sword Saint's aura crackles with blue energy, recognizing Renee as a worthy opponent. Even the student beside Adele trembles under the suffocating pressure of their standoff. Adele swallows hard. She's even stronger than I imagined. Renee takes a single, deliberate step forward. No rush. No hesitation. Just a calm, confident walk straight across the arena, her gaze fixed on her enemy. From the stands, Diana, the heir of Roth, watches closely, her crimson eyes narrowed in calculation. Bolton, heir of Envy, only laughs loudly, his orange hair bouncing as he sneers. "Ha! Look at her. Bold as ever." But Adele is baffled. Why isn't the construct attacking? She's just walking up to it. What is she planning? Renee stops just a few feet away from the legendary warrior. The tension in the air is so thick it feels like the entire arena is holding its breath. For a heartbeat, neither moves. Two forces, staring each other down. And then, explosion. They strike in the same instant. A blur of motion. The sword saint's massive blade tears downward, and Renee ducks, her own sword slicing upward in a perfect arc. A blinding flash. The deafening ring of steel. And then, silence. The crowd stares, mouths agape. Adele can hardly process what just happened. Renee lands lightly, as if nothing happened, her hair untouched, her stance perfect. Behind her, the sword saint construct freezes, then drops his weapon. His body collapses a moment later. Defeated. The hall erupts in a deafening roar, students screaming and cheering her name. Even Ares gives the faintest nod of approval, muttering under his breath, "Not bad." Adele is stunned. No way, did I just see that? She ended it that easily? And then it hits him. Of course. The reason the construct didn't attack as she walked forward, it had already recognized her power. It knew it stood no chance. Across the arena, Laurel Frond scoffs, folding her arms. Annoyed she didn't get to see Renee struggle, but conceding at least quietly, well, she has to be that capable if she thinks she can challenge me. Adele turns toward her, his mind still spinning. So, does that mean if all the children of the 7 deadly sins fought together, they could defeat the real sword saint? Laurel bursts out laughing, her voice laced with contempt. What? Don't be ridiculous. No one alive could defeat the sword saint. Maybe if the previous demon king was still around. Her eyes harden as she glares at Adele. Are you mocking me? Anyone with eyes can see that pathetic fake was less than 10% of the sword saint's true power. The words hit Adele like a hammer. Less than 10%. He nearly died fighting that fake. He clenches his fists, the weight of the truth pressing down. I may be the creator of this world, but I don't know anything about the real power of the demon realm. And yet, instead of despair, something else stirs within him. Excitement. Thrill. His lips curl into a small, eager smile. This is a challenge worth facing. He leans back, deciding to simply watch for now, eager to see how far the heirs can go. One by one, the other children of the 7 deadly sins step forward to face their trials. Whether inspired by Renee or eager to show off, they all crush their constructs with ease. Bolton laughs boisterously, cutting down his opponent with casual flair. Ha! Too easy. The matches are over so quickly, so one-sided, that it's impossible to gauge who among them is truly strongest. But Adele doesn't worry. He only watches with that sly, calculating smile. Adele's eyes drift toward Diana, heir of Roth. From his own novel, he already knows the truth. Of all the heirs, she and Renee are the strongest. Finally, Ares steps forward, his voice booming through the hall. This concludes the entrance exams. Everyone, gather before the podium. The crowd moves instantly, nerves and excitement buzzing through the air. Ares begins announcing the results. Everyone who fought, passed. Whether you won or lost. Adele smirks knowingly. Just as I thought. The ones who forfeited are the ones who failed. Renee tilts her chin up proudly, a subtle nod of satisfaction. With this, they were now official trainees of Saitan. But Ares's voice cuts through the cheers like a blade. Do not celebrate yet. The road ahead of you is hell. So brutal, many of you will wish you had quit now. The hall falls silent at his warning. Then he dismisses the majority. You are all dismissed. Gather again in 2 days for the entrance ceremony. A ripple of relief and excitement spreads as students shuffle out. But Ares raises his voice once more. As for the 8 who defeated the sword saint, stay where you are. Renee frowns slightly. Why do we have to stay? Adele leans closer, whispering with a sly grin. Don't you think this might be about that armory he mentioned earlier? And he's right. Ares addresses the 8 heirs and Adele directly. You have passed with distinction. As promised, you will be granted access to the army. Yes. Lycan Bolton, the heir of envy, immediately shoots his hand into the air, eyes glinting with greed. I've got a question. Ares gives him a curt nod. Lycan smirks. Can we take tons of weapons? I mean, come on, Satan weapons sound way too useful to just grab one. Adele watches him with mild exasperation. As expected of Lycan. Even in my novel, he never could keep his greed in check. Ares shuts him down immediately. No. 1 weapon only. Anything more, and you'll lose focus. That is the rule. Lycan groans dramatically, but Ares doesn't let the discussion drag. Enough. We're short on time. Follow me. He leads them through a long corridor, stopping before a towering stone door carved into the wall. Pressing his palm against it, Ares triggers a massive magic circle that lights up across its surface. With a heavy grinding sound, the colossal doors slide open, flooding the hall with blinding light. The students gasp in awe. Inside lies a vast chamber stretching farther than their eyes can follow. Weapons shimmer on pedestals, glowing faintly with otherworldly power, an endless collection of blades, spears, staves, and artifacts, each radiating menace and majesty. Ares's voice echoes inside the chamber. This is your reward. Whether you make the best choice, or the worst, depends entirely on you. To the heirs, it's like standing in a dream. But Adele's eyes narrow. He studies the massive stone frame, the carved glyphs, the ominous aura wafting from within. Army? This feels more like the entrance to a dungeon. Ares begins laying out the rules. You will enter one by one, in reverse order of performance. And upon leaving, you will be inspected. If you attempt to take more than one item, the consequences will be severe. Adele's mind races. Reverse order? That means I'm last. He clicks his tongue. Damn it. Lycan, on the other hand, practically explodes with joy. Perfect. I'm first. I'll grab the strongest weapon in here. He struts toward the door, chest puffed out like he's already won. Adele mutters under his breath, just shut up and go already. Beside him, Renee glances over. Calm as ever, she says, since I already have a weapon, I'll choose an artifact. Adele nods. Same. I'll probably go with an artifact too. But then a thought creeps into his mind, cold and unpleasant. Wait, if we're both thinking that, then everyone else probably is too. Adele's nerves grow heavier with each passing moment. Will there even be anything left for me? The massive doors slam shut behind Lycan, and silence swallows the room. Moments later, the doors creak open again. Next, a voice calls. Lycan strolls out proudly, holding a thorny, jewel-encrusted circlet high above his head. Ha! Isn't this amazing? He boasts, grinning ear to ear. One after another, students enter and return, each carrying their own powerful relics. Exactly as Adele feared, everyone is claiming incredible treasures. Doubt creeps in, maybe he should just settle for a suit of armor instead. Time drags on until finally, he's the only one left. Renee steps closer. It's your turn, she says. That's when Adele notices the elegant gold bracelet around her wrist. What does it do? He asks quickly, trying to gather whatever last-minute knowledge he can. You'll see when you go inside, Renee replies. The artifacts come with descriptions. Her answer surprises him. Really? That simple? She nods with a faint smile, then adds a detail that makes his chest tighten. But not all of them have descriptions. I see. Adele's mind races. No description? Could that mean they're useless? No, Seitan wouldn't preserve garbage like that. There must be more to it. Before he can think further, Ares's stern voice cuts in. You're the last one. Adele approaches the head instructor, thoughts buzzing. Ares notices the hesitation. If you've got something to say, speak up, he growls, though his glare practically dares him not to. Adele takes the chance. What does it mean if an item doesn't have a description? Ares gives an unexpected answer. It means we haven't figured it out yet. Adele presses. So you don't know who it belonged to, or what it can do? Exactly, Ares confirms. It's a gamble. You might end up with an artifact of unbelievable power, or a curse you'll never escape. The weight of the risk sinks in. But before Adele can respond, Ares waves him off. We're out of time. Go. Standing before the giant doors, Adele lets out a dry laugh. He can't tell if going last is a blessing or a curse. The doors groan open, and he steps inside. The chamber is vast and spotless, lit by glowing pillars that cast a calm glow over the space. At least nothing's going to jump out at me, he hopes. Far ahead, a radiant light draws his gaze. It must be where the artifacts rest. When he enters the main hall, his breath catches. Mist swirls through the air, and dozens of relics float in shimmering blue displays. Whoa, this is insane, he whispers. A colossal greatsword catches his eye, its blade glowing with a blood-red aura. He moves past it, drawn to a distinctive spear. Curious, he checks its inscription. The twin-fang spear. Once used to hunt serpents, now haunted by their vengeful spirits. Impressive, yes, but not for him. The weapon's abilities clash with his fighting style, and besides, he already has his daggers. So he keeps moving. Ahead, a strange crystal orb glimmers like a fragment of a fallen star. The crystal orb flickers faintly, radiating gentle starlight. Its description is clear, it borrows the light of the stars to brighten its surroundings. Adele frowns. With his affinity for darkness, a light-based item is practically worthless. Sure, he could use it as a fancy torch, but wasting his one pick on that? Not a chance. He moves on. Then, something strange catches his eye. An empty display case. Here? Why is this one missing? He mutters, puzzled. He bends down to check the plaque. The Great Circlet of the Victor. Grants incredible stamina and recovery. A binding artifact, its owner keeps it until death. Adele's stomach drops. Of course. Baltan must have grabbed it. In his novel, Adele had deliberately removed artifacts like this. Items bound to their wielder were far too overpowered. He never thought he'd come face to face with one in reality. Scanning the chamber, unease builds in his chest. One case after another is empty. The bind of the python. The flag of the demon general. The insignia of the fallen noble. All taken. Panic surges. He grips his head. Damn it. The seven heirs snatched every top-tier treasure. What's left for me? Scraps? He stops before a gleaming blue greatsword. Strong, but its display offers no description. One of the unidentified items. His lips tighten. A tempting gamble, but what if it's cursed? Just as despair threatens to overwhelm him, an idea sparks. His eyes widen. Wait. I still have that method. He quickly pulls out a special parchment and pen. This trick costs gold he'd rather save, but desperate times call for desperate measures. He scribbles a request for information about a broken sword. The parchment glows, words forming across the page, information available. Price, an artifact of relic grade or 100 gold coins. Adele's eyes flash. He doesn't need the answer itself, just the cost. Testing the theory, he writes again, this time about a damaged scroll. The parchment responds, price, 50 gold coins. A sly grin spreads across his face. Perfect. The higher the price, the stronger the artifact. I just need to find the one worth the most. He strides toward a row of 7 unidentified items. First, a black stone carved in the shape of an eagle. Price, he writes. The answer comes swiftly, at least 1 gold coin. Adele's smile vanishes. So cheap? That's a terrible sign. Still, he spends the single coin to confirm. The truth appears, exchanges the owner's fortune with another's misfortune. His chest tightens. A curse, he staggers back, appalled. This must be the one Ari's warned about. He moves on. The next item costs 100 gold. Then another, 50 gold. Mediocre. None worth the gamble. Frustration gnaws at him. Only 2 unidentified items remain. His pulse quickens. Come on, just one jackpot. He points to a small, sharp-edged fragment of metal. The parchment glows bright. Artifact of at least mythical grade. Minimum price, 300 gold coins. Adele's eyes nearly burst from their sockets. Mythical? Jackpot. Finally, something greater than anything the others claimed. Without hesitation, he reaches for it. His mind made up. This is mine. But just as his fingers brush the display, he freezes. A strange, unshakable feeling washes over him. Something about the last item? From the corner of the chamber, a forgotten display case flickers faintly, pulsing with light. Adele freezes. What is this feeling? Someone's watching me? His eyes lock onto the source, the final artifact. A plain necklace, so ordinary he had overlooked it entirely. But now, it pulls at him. Is this instinct? Or something buried deep in the body I now inhabit? Either way, he can't ignore it. He quickly scribbles onto his parchment, asking about the nameless necklace. The moment the ink dries, the paper bursts into turquoise flames, glowing with an intensity unlike anything before. The surge of energy makes Adele flinch back. What the? When the fire dies, new words burn themselves across the page. A message unlike all the others. You must offer a god. Adele's jaw drops. Offer a god. Then, slowly, a wide, triumphant grin spreads across his face. This wasn't ordinary. This wasn't even mythical. This was something greater. A legendary item. He had expected scraps. Instead, he found the true jackpot. For a fleeting moment, victory surges through him, but reality hits just as fast. The condition is impossible. He has no ties to any god, let alone the demon god. His triumph twists into frustration. Damn it, what exactly are you? The necklace rests silently in its case, elegant, unassuming, and utterly unmoved by his questions. He tries channeling dark mana into it. Nothing. Not a flicker of response. It's useless. He folds his arms, glaring at it. The parchment glows again, repeating the same demand. Offer a god. No matter how he rephrases his questions, the answer doesn't change. For a moment, Adele hesitates. Should I just pick something else? But deep down, he already knows the truth. His instincts, the body's instincts, scream that this necklace is more valuable than anything here. Decision made, he reaches forward. With steady hands, he breaks the seal on the case and lifts the necklace. It feels heavier than it looks, as though it carries the weight of countless secrets. Just to be safe, he summons his status window. No curses. No hidden effects. Exactly the same as before. A relieved smirk tugs at his lips. Good. No one else would want something so troublesome anyway. That makes it mine, and I'll figure it out in time. He leaves the chamber, the necklace secured. Outside, Ares waits, his sharp gaze locked on Adele. What's that necklace? He asks, suspicion dripping from every word. Adele shrugs casually. One of the artifacts without a description. Ares narrows his eyes. And yet you chose it? Why? You expect me to believe you picked blindly? Adele flashes a disarming smile, voice smooth as silk. Of course. I don't know anything at all. Ares doesn't answer. He only stares, eyes burning into him as if trying to peel away every layer of the lie. Ares's stare lingers, his face hard with disbelief and irritation. Adele can't help but wonder, why does this instructor seem to despise him so much? At last, Ares exhales heavily, breaking the silence. Fine. I'll believe you. As a Citan instructor, I have no choice but to trust my cadets. He dismisses them with a wave. Remember, take care of your artifacts. In desperate times, they might even serve as an extra life. Adele glances around at the others, the heirs of the 7 deadly sins. Each one destined to rise, to gain influence, to be supported by the demon world itself. Compared to them, he feels a sting of envy. If only I had that kind of backing. Just a little would make things so much easier. Dismissed, Ares announces. We'll meet again at the entrance ceremony. The exams are officially over. Adele turns to Renee, his voice playful. Well then, Miss Renee, shall we return to the dorms? She nods simply. Yeah. But before they can leave, a cheerful voice calls out. Group 33's leader. Adele turns to see Lycan and Baltan approaching. To his surprise, Baltan greets him with a wide, friendly smile. Sorry if I was a little harsh when we first met. I'm Baltan, he says warmly, extending a hand. Nice to meet you. The way you fought was impressive. Adele raises a brow at the sudden change but plays along, shaking his hand. Adele. Nice to meet you too, Baltan. Still, the friendliness feels strange. And then it happens. The moment their hands clasp, pain shoots through Adele's arm like a lightning bolt. Bolton's pleasant smile twists into a predator's grin. His grip tightens with bone-crushing force, threatening to shatter Adele's hand. Adele's teeth clench. What the hell? The realization slams into him. Baltan isn't interested in friendship. He's only ever cared about strength, driven by jealousy and greed. In Adele's own novel, Baltan was a bloodthirsty lunatic who once drove the protagonist to the edge of death, only to spare him for the thrill of it. And now, Adele is caught in that same storm. What's wrong? You seem to be struggling, Baltan sneers, his grip tightening. Adele grits his teeth. It's nothing. Confusion swirls in his mind. Why me? There are far stronger people nearby. Why pick a fight here? In a flash decision, Adele uses his position transfer, swapping places with a random student. Bolton's crushing grip closes on empty air, and Adele yanks his hand free, wincing as pain throbs through his arm. Let's stop this, Adele says firmly. The test just ended, we're all tired. But Baltan only laughs. First a low chuckle, then a booming, maniacal roar. Ha! I didn't even see that coming. His eyes flare with a menacing orange glow. You're strong. Let's fight right here, right now, until one of us dies. Adele stumbles back, horrified. He's insane. Completely insane. I told you, I have no intention of fighting, he snaps. But Bolton's killing intent surges as he lunges. Stop. The single word cuts through the air like ice. Renee steps forward, her eyes blazing with an intense blue light. Power radiates from her, filling the space with suffocating killing intent. If you want to fight my guard, she snarls, her voice cold as steel, then you'll have to fight me too. Renee's blade flashes free, gleaming in the air as she plants herself between Adele and Baltan. At last, Baltan eases back. The crazed gleam in his eyes doesn't fade, but his smirk returns. As much as I'd love a fight, taking on both of you would be a bit much, he admits. And I'd rather not get injured before school even starts. He casts Adele one final, chilling smile. Well, I'm sure we'll have plenty of chances. See you next time, Adele. Adele watches him leave, still rattled. 1 second he's raving about fighting to the death, the next he's worried about getting hurt. What kind of psychopath is this guy? Worse, Adele never even noticed when Baltan drew his sword. Renee slides her weapon back into its sheath. Let's just go, Adele. He exhales shakily. Yes, Miss Renee. As they walk away, Adele manages a tired smile. It's only been 1 day at Seitan, yet it already feels like he's lived through several. And strangely enough, despite the danger, part of him is beginning to look forward to what's ahead. Back in their private dorm, Adele finally gets a moment to rest. The weight of the day slips off his shoulders, and for the first time since arriving, he allows himself to relax. When morning comes, he wakes feeling refreshed, stronger, lighter, like his hardships have sharpened him. He flexes in front of the mirror, satisfaction tugging at his lips. Definitely stronger. He notices the new Seitan uniform folded neatly on the table. All right, let's try this on. The fabric surprises him, comfortable, practical, more thoughtful than he expected. Running his hand along the lapel, he mutters, not bad. At least we'll be wearing something decent for the next 3 years. Curiosity sparks. I wonder how Renee looks in hers. A grin creeps onto his face. He crosses the hall and knocks politely on her door. Who is it? Her voice calls. It's Adele, Miss Renee. I just wanted to check if you need anything before I head out. The door creaks open. Come in, she says. Adele steps inside, and freezes. Renee stands by the window, morning sunlight spilling over her figure in the crisp new uniform. For a moment, words escape him. Then, before he can stop himself, a genuine compliment slips out. You're beautiful. Renee stiffens, caught off guard. Her cheeks flush, and she quickly clears her throat. Are you going somewhere? Adele can't help but notice even her ears are burning red. He grins inwardly. She's kind of cute like this. I was thinking of walking around the city, he says with a small bow. Since we've got the day off. Please take time to rest as well, Miss Renee. He turns to leave, but her voice stops him. Wait. He glances back. Renee is looking down, her blush deepening. You have something you need to do, don't you? Adele blinks. Something I need to do. Her shy, almost hopeful expression says more than her words. But he doesn't understand. After deadly trials, new enemies, and a night of hard-earned rest, Adele finally has a taste of peace. Yet even in this quiet moment, a nagging thought pulls at him, like he's forgetting something important. That's when a sharp, commanding voice cuts through his thoughts. It's Renee. She looks up at him, eyes steady, and softly says a single word. Guard. The reminder hits him like a hammer. Right, my duty. He'd gotten so wrapped up in the thought of a day off that he completely forgot why he was here in the first place. Adele clears his throat, quickly recovering. Of course. I'll go with you. Just give me a moment to change. But as he turns, Renee cuts him off. Her cheeks are tinged pink, her tone sharper than usual. And how long exactly do you plan on staring? Flustered, Adele coughs into his hand and nods. Right. I'll wait outside. As the door shuts behind him, he sighs, disappointed. So much for my day off. Guess that plan's gone already. Some time later, the two of them stroll through the bustling streets of the demon capital. The air hums with energy, vendors calling out, children laughing, merchants bargaining. Adele drinks it all in. The city is vibrant, alive, and surprisingly clean. Hard to believe a brutal war had ravaged this very place just a decade ago. Though the outer regions are still scarred and under reconstruction, the capital itself stands strong. The humans may have claimed victory, but they never managed to conquer the heart of the demon realm. As he takes it all in, Renee suddenly tugs at his sleeve, pulling him to a stop. Her eyes are fixed ahead, a spark of excitement breaking through her usual composure. Let's eat that, she says, pointing toward a street vendor. Adele follows her gaze. Skewers sizzle over glowing coals, meat and vegetables glistening in seasoned oil, the air thick with the savory aroma of roasting sauce. He can't help but smile. What kind of skewers are those? He asks the vendor curiously. Seasoned buck with vegetables, the man replies cheerfully. Like chicken skewers back home? Adele wonders. Without hesitation, he orders two. Renee waits beside him, her expression calm, though the faint anticipation in her eyes doesn't escape him. She takes the first bite, sauce dripping down the side of the skewer. And her eyes light up. The stoic guard's expression completely crumbles as she chews, a muffled sound of delight slipping from her lips. It's absolutely delicious, she mumbles, almost dazed. Adele stares, surprised. I never thought she could make a face like that. The two continue their walk, weaving through the square until they pass a great fountain where other demons lounge and relax. For the first time since arriving in this world, Adele feels something he hasn't in a long time, true leisure. The crushing weight of survival eases off his shoulders, if only for a fleeting moment. This won't last. Not for long, he knows. But for now, I'll enjoy it. Then his eyes catch something that stops him in his tracks. In the center of the square looms a massive statue, towering over everything else. A warrior carved from stone, clad in jagged, ornate armor, a colossal greatsword gripped in hand. Adele tilts his head back, staring up. Who could that be? Renee turns to him, startled. You really don't know? He shakes his head. That, she says firmly, is the very first Demon King. The first Demon King. Adele steps closer, eyes narrowing at the statue's stern face. Now that he thinks about it, there's a striking resemblance to Diana, the heir of Wrath. A rare chance to see the face of legend. Adele takes a few more steps forward to get a better look. But just as he approaches, a strange pressure rolls through the air. Adele freezes as the statue's stone eyes ignite, glowing with a piercing turquoise light. At that exact moment, the necklace against his chest erupts in a matching aura, pulsing wildly with power. His hand flies up, clutching it in shock. What? Why is it glowing? Before he can react, a beam of light shoots from the statue, slamming into the necklace. Energy floods through him in a sharp surge, the artifact blazing one final time before everything abruptly fades. Adele stares down at it, stunned. One of the once bright jewels now lies dull and gray, its shine completely gone. What just happened? Adele? Renee's voice cuts in sharply. Why are you pulling out your artifact all of a sudden? He looks from her to the statue, then back to the necklace. He knows what he saw, the glow, the beam, the jewel losing its color. But when his gaze meets hers, confusion flickers in her eyes. She hadn't seen a thing. Realization hits him like a stone. Only I saw it. This is connected to me alone. His thoughts race back to the parchment's cryptic message, offer a god. Now, a new clue has fallen right into his lap. His lips curl into a sly, determined smile. There's no doubt. This necklace is tied to the first Demon King himself. And if he can unravel its mystery, he's sure he'll uncover something world-shaking. For now, though, he tucks the necklace away. Curiosity burns in his chest, but Saitan awaits. The short break ends, and soon Adele and Renee return to the towering structure of Saitan Academy. The following morning, the auditorium buzzes with life. Nearly 100 new students pack the hall, their voices hushed with anticipation. On stage, the instructors stand at attention, alongside a small figure who could only be the headmaster. From his seat, Adele overhears a student whisper, "Wait, that tiny girl is our headmaster?" A smirk tugs at his lips. If only they knew. That tiny girl nearly crushed us all with her presence alone. Still, he can't help himself. She's kind of cute, though. The thought lingers a beat too long. As if sensing it, the headmaster's piercing pink eyes snap to his. Her gaze locks onto him, sharp and merciless. A shiver runs down his spine as dread crashes over him. Cold sweat beads on his neck. Her eyes narrow, and he understands instantly. She heard his thoughts. Adele backpedals in his head. No. Not cute, adorable. Absolutely adorable. A faint, satisfied aura radiates from her in response. Adele feels his stomach sink. She can read minds, too. Before panic can spread, Instructor Aries' commanding voice booms across the hall, silencing the crowd. The entrance ceremony begins now. The headmaster's speech is simple, almost ordinary, a reminder of Saitan's strict rules and expectations. The oppressive tension lifts slightly as the atmosphere calms. But it doesn't last long. An instructor steps forward. Next is the oath-taking. The top cadet and runner-up will now come forward. Two figures rise from the crowd. Lycan, Baltan. The oath-taking begins. Lycan, the battle-crazed heir of envy, and Diana, the quiet, enigmatic heir of wrath, step forward. Adele isn't surprised. Those two taking the top spots was inevitable. He glances at Renee, but as expected, she's completely unfazed. Rankings mean nothing to her, her only purpose here is revenge for her mother. As for Adele, survival is all that matters. Suddenly, he feels it. A sharp stare, cutting right through the crowd. Lycan. On his way to the stage, Lycan points directly at him, that same smug grin plastered across his face. Adele groans inwardly. Not this guy again. Creepy stalker. Obsessed freak. He forces himself to ignore it. The last thing he needs is to be dragged into one of Lycan's twisted games. The instructor calls for the top cadet. A single step echoes across the stage. Diana enters the spotlight, her white hair glistening beneath the lights, her crown of thorns radiating a divine, otherworldly glow. Instantly, the entire room falls silent, captivated by her presence. Blessed by the gods themselves, the daughter of the Demon King commands all without speaking a word. And when she does speak, her voice carries through the hall like a bell. She swears that the new generation of Saitan will wipe away disgrace and restore the glory of the demonic realm. The air in the auditorium vibrates with raw anger, the lingering grief of demons who lost everything to humans. For Adele, it's a bitter reminder of his own bloodline. If they ever discover I'm an arson, it's over. The oath concludes, and the ceremony comes to an end. Instructor Aries steps forward, his voice booming. Cadets, check the bulletin board for your assigned classes. Then proceed to your dorms. Outside, chaos brews as students crowd around the bulletin boards. Names scatter across the lists of Class A, B, and C. Adele quickly finds his. Let's see. Class A. His eyes dart to another list. Renee's name sits neatly under Class C. A smug grin spreads across his face. Too bad. Such a shame. He turns to her, feigning disappointment. Looks like you're in Class C. I guess we won't be together after all. Her glare cuts him off before he can finish. Wipe that smile off your face. She turns to leave, but not without a sharp reminder. You're still my guard. When I call, you'd better come running. Adele nods obediently, but inside, he's practically dancing. Finally. Freedom. His lips curl into a triumphant smirk. Looks like I'll actually get to relax for once. But just as the thought settles, a hard shoulder slams into his back. Annoyed, he spins around. A student glares at him with raw hostility, eyes glowing an ominous green. You wanna die, you Cerberus-looking bastard? Adele blinks. Not at the threat, but at the insult. Cerberus-looking? What does that even mean? Then it hits him. Recognition flares. The face, the eyes, he knows this one. Samuel. House of Gluttony. One of the strongest heirs. Adele stares at Samuel, one of the heirs of Gluttony, still processing the fact that the guy literally walked into him just to start a fight. Seriously? Of all people, it had to be him? As much as he'd rather not deal with this, it's the first day, drawing attention would only make things worse. So he plays it cool. My bad, he says simply. But Samuel just scoffs, glaring daggers at him. TCH, get lost. You're lucky it's the first day. The hostility rolling off him is suffocating. Adele sighs, brushing past and muttering under his breath. Why are all the children of the 7 deadly sins such a nightmare? Then an even worse thought hits him. Wait, don't tell me Baltan is in Class A too. Elsewhere, inside the instructor's meeting room, tensions are already running high. Unacceptable. A woman with curly grey hair slams her hands on the table. I'm a proper instructor, my opinion matters. Aries glares at her across the room, his presence heavy. That boy is dangerous. If you value order, it's better that I handle him personally. Instructor Idea bristles. He's already assigned to my class. You can't just walk all over my authority. Before the argument can boil over, a sharp voice slices through the tension. Enough. Headmaster Lucian's words drop like a blade. The command is absolute. Idea immediately sits, though she pouts like a scolded child. Why am I always singled out? She grumbles under her breath. Lucian turns her piercing gaze to Aries. Explain yourself. Aries's tone is steady, grim. Trainee Adele. I want him under my supervision. He leans forward, voice low and weighty. I've fought countless enemies like him on the battlefield. That boy was born a murderer. One wrong push, and he could turn his blade on his own allies. He needs to be restrained, before it's too late. Another instructor scoffs. You're being too cautious. He's just a half-demon. Weaker than the heirs of the sins. Why waste this much worry on him? Aries' eyes flash. Strength isn't measured only in raw power. His danger lies elsewhere, in his nerve. His ability to attempt bold things, and the terrifying calm he holds while doing it. That is what makes him deadly. Silence grips the room. The weight of his words settles heavy on every instructor present. That is why, Aries concludes, his voice like iron, I will take Class A. Adele requires caution. Instructor Idea shoots to her feet again, fists clenched. No, you just don't trust me to handle it. Don't think you can trample my authority just because you're... Enough. The word rips through the air, and suddenly the room is drowning in suffocating purple energy. The sheer pressure forces every voice into silence. Lucian exhales a curl of smoke, her small frame radiating terrifying dominance. I will not repeat myself. The silence stretches, unbroken. No one dares move. Finally, she turns back to Aries. Her tone is calm, though annoyance drips beneath it. I understand your concerns. But the classes have already been assigned. Changing them now would do more harm than good. Aries' jaw tightens. He exhales, conceding with a stiff nod, though tension still hardens his expression. Aries concedes, though his tone remains firm. I understand. But it still wouldn't hurt to stay cautious. Lucian's gaze shifts to Idea, her words now a direct command. Instructor Idea. Pay special attention to the one named Adele. The earlier fire drains from Idea's face. She nods once. Understood. With that, Lucian dismisses the meeting. Go. Greet your new students. The scene shifts to the doorway of Class 1A. Adele arrives, but the moment he peers inside, a wave of despair washes over him. He closes his eyes, muttering inwardly, why am I so unlucky? Leaning over a desk with a mischievous grin is Laurel Frun. She chuckles at his reaction. Oh? Guess it's a relief. At least it's not Diana, right? She teases. Adele's gaze shifts past her, and freezes. Sitting nearby is Samuel, the heir of gluttony. Great, not Baltan, but hardly better. Laurel leans in close, eyes sparkling with mischief. Did you follow me all the way here? Adele deadpans. Class assignments are random. She bursts into laughter, tossing her head back arrogantly. Marvelous. Then I'll grant you the privilege of being my slave here as well. Adele exhales silently. Here she goes again. Before he can even respond, a new voice cuts in. Hey! You too! It's Samuel. His teeth grind, his glare sharp as a blade. If you don't shut up, I'll kill you. Laurel blinks, her arrogance faltering for just a moment. Hey! She recovers quickly, firing back. What did you say, you brat? Samuel snarls. Say another word and I'll kill you where you stand. Stuck between the two of them, Adele slumps in his seat. How am I supposed to survive in here with these psychos? Just then. Bang! The classroom door slams open, the sound echoing like thunder. Every eye snaps to the entrance. A woman steps in, her face unreadable, her presence suffocating the noise instantly. You sure are noisy, she says coolly. Don't tell me you're fighting on the first day. Adele's eyes widen. That instructor is... Then she claps her hands together sharply, a bright, too sharp smile spreading across her face. Welcome, everyone. I'm your instructor, Idea. She tilts her head playfully, but her smile doesn't reach her eyes. Remember my name. A murmur ripples through the class when she adds, almost casually, some call me the Legion of Calamity. The name sparks a wave of whispers. No way, is she really the Legion of Calamity who slaughtered 10,000 humans at Pollock River? Idiot, it was 30,000. Adele can't help but smirk. If she's that strong, maybe my odds of surviving just went up a little. Idea strolls to the front, slaps her hand against the chalkboard, and picks up a piece of chalk. Now then. Let's talk about how your training will progress. Her hand scrawls 2 words across the board. Hunting method. I'll be teaching you this, she says. Samuel clicks his tongue, looking bored. What's the point? We're not here to hunt animals or demonic beasts. Another student raises a hand nervously. Then, what are we hunting? Idea's smile widens, chilling in its excitement. Humans, she reveals. A thrill surges through the class. The real Saitan experience begins here. Idea clarifies, I'll only be teaching hunting methods. Other instructors will handle magic and weaponry. From her seat, Laurel leans forward, eyes gleaming with interest. Adele can't help but think she has the perfect face for an instructor, strict yet commanding. Then she adds something that makes his stomach tighten, she'll also be handling their stamina training. His greatest weakness. Before he can process it, she claps her hands and declares the first lesson has begun. Everyone is ordered to the training grounds. The students gather at a vast open field, easily 4 or 5 times larger than a normal arena. Adele's eyes wander, impressed by the sheer scale. What could this possibly be used for? Idea quickly calls them to attention, checking that no one is missing. She tells them to focus, eyes forward. In the next instant, the air shifts. A whirlpool of dark energy twists into existence before her, sparks of turquoise lightning dancing across it. From the swirling abyss, figures step out, soldiers clad in steel, weapons gleaming under the light. Rows upon rows of human warriors fill the field. The students gasp in disbelief. Adele freezes. Did she really summon actual humans? Idea laughs lightly. No, not real humans. Just illusions, she explains with ease. To prove her point, she pats one soldier's shoulder, the image flickering under her touch. Then, almost as if it were nothing, she reveals that the sword saint from the entrance exam was also her creation. The realization slams into Adele. That illusion alone carried a fraction of the true sword saint's strength, yet it nearly crushed him. She's terrifying. If this is just one instructor at the Royal Academy, then the Academy's true powerhouses must be on an entirely different level. The thought chills him to the core. Idea outlines their first challenge, simple in theory, push through the army and reach her. She scans the students like a predator choosing its prey. Then her eyes land on him. Adele, was it? She asks, locking him in place. A grin spreads across her face. Why don't you try stabbing my throat, just like you did to the sword saint? Once again, the spotlight is on him. First Ares, now Idea. The attention is relentless, but Adele forces himself to stay calm. With a cool smile, he asks, aren't I supposed to spar with you directly, instructor? His words are bold, a subtle test of her response. Idea doesn't miss a beat. She explains that in any army, the leader is the core of its strength. Take out the leader, and the soldiers crumble. I'll be that leader, she declares, sharp amusement in her eyes. Adele immediately understands. The strategy is clear, take down the head to end the fight. A phrase from his past life flickers in his mind, Sun Tzu's art of war, defeat the enemy by capturing their chief. His lips curl into a grin, eyes glowing a deep crimson. To him, it sounds almost too easy. But Idea raises the stakes. Of course, she says with playful mockery, it's impossible for you to actually subdue me. So, I'll consider it a pass if you can touch me, my body or my weapon. The word begin leaves her lips, and Adele doesn't hesitate. He doesn't charge. He doesn't fight. He vanishes in a flash of blue light, activating his signature skill, position transfer. For the briefest moment, shock flashes across Idea's face. She sensed his movement, but the speed was far beyond what she anticipated. In an instant, Adele is behind her, hand firmly on her shoulder, crimson eyes glowing as he asks calmly, does this count as a pass, instructor? The hum of power surges through him. Moments ago, dozens of meters and an entire army stood between them. Now, it feels like nothing at all. He remembers when his ability could barely cover a few steps. But this level of mastery could erase an entire enemy base without effort. Idea lets out a laugh, not mocking, but genuinely amused. Turning to face him, her eyes glint like a predator sizing up prey. So that's why I was told to keep an eye on you, she murmurs, recalling Ares' warning. Adele blinks, unsure what she means. Then she makes it official, you pass. Return to your spot. He nods silently and walks back, his expression steady though his thoughts swirl. Why all this attention? Is it suspicion, or curiosity? A familiar unease stirs in him. Could they have discovered who he really is? Idea shifts her focus to the rest of the class. You all saw what Cadet Adele just did, didn't you? Her voice cuts sharp through the air, carrying a clear warning. Those who fail will receive additional lessons. A groan spreads through the students, but before they can protest, the trial begins. With battle cries, the cadets surge forward, clashing against the illusionary soldiers. Adele observes from the sidelines. Their form is solid, just as expected from demons, But at the end of the day, they're only up against humans with no special powers. Even so, the students manage to push a few soldiers back. That's when Idea raises the difficulty. Her eyes glow as strands of turquoise energy shoot outward, linking her directly to the soldiers. The illusion army transforms instantly into a coordinated force. Their formation tightens, their movements sharpen. One unlucky student is immediately overwhelmed, spears forming a crushing wall around him. His scream echoes across the field. Adele winces. Yikes, that's rough. Another student, twin daggers in hand, leaps forward with confidence, only for a hidden line of archers to emerge behind the soldiers. Arrows fly in a deadly volley. His cry of pain is cut short as is nailed to the ground, left twitching like a broken doll. Adele smirks faintly, a detached look in his eyes. Watching them struggle only reaffirms what he already knows: position transfer is ridiculously broken. With a skill like this, he can't help but think, maybe he really can reach the very top of the class. Meanwhile, Idea watches the chaos unfold, a pleased smile curving her lips. She calls for the next challenger. Someone brushes past Adele, muttering, "Move." It's Samuel. Finally, his turn. Adele perks up, curious to see if the guy's arrogant attitude matches his skill. Samuel steps forward, his voice steady. "I'll begin." At once, a powerful green aura erupts from him, swirling violently. The sheer pressure makes the air feel heavy, and even Adele can feel the weight of it. The energy coils tighter around Samuel, gathering for release. Then he thrusts his hands forward, and a massive vortex of destructive green magic explodes outward, tearing across the field. Samuel's magic rips through the illusionary army, tearing the ground apart until nothing but rubble remains. Adele can't help but feel impressed. That level of destruction in the blink of an eye, this is magic. Raw, overwhelming, and leagues beyond anything he can muster. Gluttony. Samuel's unique ability. A monstrous power that devours everything in its path. Watching it firsthand, Adele makes a quick calculation. For now, it's better to let Samuel hold the spotlight at the top of the class. As the dust begins to settle, Samuel exhales heavily, as if even his own strength bores him. Across the field, Idea casually brushes off her coat, standing untouched in the middle of the devastation. "What's with this batch?" she mutters, unimpressed. Adele isn't shocked. No instructor worth their title would be taken out so easily by a first year. Still, her composure is staggering. Turning to Samuel, Idea concedes. "You wiped out everything but me. I'll admit, it caught me off guard for a moment." Then her tone sharpens, her smile never wavering. "But, you failed." Samuel freezes. "What?" Idea snaps her fingers. Instantly, the army reforms, hundreds of soldiers materializing as though nothing happened. Gasps ripple through the students. "Here's the lesson you missed," she explains. "Cutting down soldiers means nothing. If the leader lives, more will always rise to replace them. That's the nature of humans." The crowd stares in disbelief. Samuel's incredible display, undone in an instant. His jaw tightens, frustration bubbling under his calm exterior. He clicks his tongue and turns away. Adele watches him go. Despite the discontent in his eyes, Samuel seems to be holding himself together. But as he passes, he shoots Adele a venomous glare. Adele only smirks. Overconfidence, that's what cost him the test. Idea reinforces the point aloud. Had Samuel focused on the leader, as Adele did, he would have passed without issue. Her words are cut short by a booming laugh that shakes the training ground. A girl steps forward with theatrical flair, hands planted proudly on her hips. "You have waited long enough. It is finally my turn." The students murmur excitedly. Laurel Frun, the embodiment of arrogance, and one of the 7 deadly sins. Adele tilts his head, curious. How does she plan to handle this? Laurel stares down the illusionary soldiers with disdain. "You dare stand in my way, pathetic minions? Know your place." She throws back her head and lets out her signature laugh, expecting her charm to crush them where they stand. But the army doesn't flinch. Not even a twitch. Her laugh falters. A bead of sweat slips down her temple. Why aren't they moving? Did something go wrong? The confidence on her face shatters, replaced by panic. Her eyes dart, searching desperately for an escape. Adele's lips curl into a knowing smile. Just as he thought. Laurel, child of lust. She never fights head-on. Her power lies in control, bending her pawns like a queen bee commanding drones. But these illusions, they are nothing but constructs. Mindless, soulless. Immune to her powers. Without her usual tools, she's helpless. Her breathing quickens as panic takes hold. I need to do something, anything. Then, in a flash of desperation, her gaze locks onto the only one who already passed. Adele. Laurel, cornered and desperate, suddenly screams at the top of her lungs, "Help me, my slave." Adele, who had been enjoying the spectacle from the sidelines, nearly falls over. What? His mind blanks. Here? Here? The words echo across the training field, drawing a wave of murmurs from the other students. Did she just call him a slave? Their eyes widen in disbelief. Adele is just as baffled. What is she thinking, saying that out loud? But Laurel is too far gone in her panic to care. She keeps shrieking, begging him to hurry and save her. Idea stands silently, watching the chaos unfold with a cold, unreadable gaze, letting the tension stretch unbearably thin. The illusionary soldiers, immune to her charms, close in relentlessly. Laurel stumbles back in terror until they swarm her, dragging her down in a frantic mess of steel and shadows. Her scream pierces the field. Adele watches the scene with mild annoyance. Then a thought crosses his mind. Wait, could it be she can't even cast buffs on herself? He quickly dismisses it. No, that's ridiculous. His musings are cut short by Laurel's continued cries for help. Then, something else catches his attention. A soft green glow shines from the edge of the field. He turns his head and spots a girl kneeling beside a fallen classmate. Her long pink hair shimmers as her hands glow with warm, healing light, mending the boy's injured knee with gentle precision. Adele's eyes narrow. Healing magic. That's a human trait. Which means, she's a half-demon. His heart races. He never recalled her from the novel, yet here she is, right in his class. A healer. Rare. Invaluable. The kind of ally he'd be a fool not to connect with. He's just about to approach her when Idea's voice slices through the air, playful and sharp. Well, Laurel was asking for your help, wasn't she? She says with a smirk. Now that the test is over, perhaps you should help her walk. Adele exhales in frustration. Her timing is the worst. Still, he heads over to the pathetic heap of bodies where Laurel is buried under the swarm. With little patience, he pokes her forehead sharply. Useless frun, he mutters. She yelps in pain. With a sadistic grin, he grabs a fistful of her hair and yanks her to her feet. There you go. Please get up now that it's over, he says, voice dripping with mocking politeness. Laurel's face is a mess of dirt and humiliation. She glares daggers at him. You saw everything, didn't you? She hisses. Adele tilts his head, feigning ignorance. What are you talking about? Don't play dumb, you slave, she snaps. He just laughs lightly, eyes glinting. Well, I did see you looking weaker than one. Her face burns crimson with fury, but before she can erupt, Idea claps her hands, silencing the field. All right, that's enough. Time to clean up. Her gaze sweeps over the class. I had a few expectations for this batch, and the results were more or less what I predicted. A pause, then she offers a slight nod. Still, good work on your first lesson. Experiences like these are important. They show you exactly where you stand, where you make mistakes, and most importantly, where your limits lie. Her voice carries steady authority now. Knowing these things will help you support one another and fight together in battle. Adele absorbs her words carefully. Back at the Human Imperial School, students were divided into rigid hierarchies. But here, at the Imperial School, students were separated strictly by ability. But here at Saitan, placements are random. That means survival depends on synergy. Idea's gaze sweeps the class before landing on Adele. Her eyes sharpen, glowing with a predatory glint. As for the only one who passed, Cadet Adele. He answers simply, yes. Her voice carries a mix of praise and warning. I'll be looking forward to your progress. Surrounded by the dark, resentful auras of his classmates, Adele forces a calm smile. Thank you. I'll work hard. Inside, though, he isn't sure if that was praise or a threat. Either way, the weight of attention has painted a giant target on his back. Laurel, ever itching for conflict, glares at him. The others aren't any friendlier. Building a faction here, is that even possible? He wonders with a sigh. The bell rings, ending class. The following lessons flow by. A stern instructor introduces himself as their theoretical teacher. The material is straightforward. History of the demonic realm, strategies against humans. He explains that demon anatomy is nearly identical to humans, the same vitals, the same weaknesses. Adele mutters to himself. Yeah, getting stabbed in the gut hurts just the same. The class ends with a warning, there will be a quiz. Fail, and expect remedial sessions. Adele slams his textbook shut with a dull thud, groaning as he drops his head onto the desk. Seriously? First day and I'm already burned out. It feels exactly like his old life all over again, school, pressure, exhaustion. Around him, classmates laugh, chat, and form little cliques. And just like before, he sits alone. Tears of sheer fatigue threaten to well up. But then he notices her. The healer girl. Sitting quietly by herself. Right. This is my chance. He pushes himself up and walks toward her, forcing on his most charming smile. Standing at her desk, he starts, Nice to meet you. I'm Adele. She looks up, startled. Weiss, nice to meet you. That's when Adele notices, the entire class has gone silent. Every pair of eyes is fixed on them. Of course. Two half-demons talking? Of course it would draw attention. He sees her discomfort immediately. Best to retreat. I'll talk to you again another time, he says smoothly, giving her an easy out.